We dive into a loaded day today in Omaha, starting with two of the best pitchers in the country. Stanford's rubber-armed Quinn Matthews on one side against Tennessee's soon-to-be first-round pick Chase Dollander in an elimination game.
Welcome back to Omaha. 8 days ago, Stanford pitcher Quinn Matthews started Game 2 of the Super Regionals against Texas. It's an elimination game. 156 pitches later, he threw a complete game and one of the best performances in Cardinal history.
Is it the right thing?
In the dugout, he was just making it known that he's going back out.
The pitch count in a super regional win or go home, that's not that big of a deal. And
this is the reason he came back.
2-2 again. Bouncing ball left side. Finishes a complete game from Quinn Matthews.
He may never forgive us if we took him out.
My phone blew up like I'd never, experienced before in my life. Friends and family, like how proud they were of me. And I didn't even think pitch 156 was that big of a deal, but it kind of blew up into something that was a little bigger than it was.
1 year ago to the day, guys, in the same exact dugout, Stanford facing Auburn in the elimination game. Quinn Matthews pitched in that one. He didn't start, but he did take the loss, and this is the exact reason he returned to Stanford, to make it right.
Pac-12 Pitcher of the Year, Danny. Golden Spikes Award semifinalist, second in the country in innings and third in strikeouts, Big Ben.
Yeah, I tell you what, it is a true four-pitch mix, but the changeup is by far his best fit pitch, folks. I mean, it's a 51% swing and miss with that changeup, average about 33%.
He goes up against this fall's batting order, brought to you by Capital One. For Tony Vitello, his group had to see Paul Skeens on Saturday, and no problem for Hunter Ensley.
No, Hunter Ensley put on a show. A couple knocks against Skeens, a home run against Guidry that made that ball game late, close late. And he comes into this one red hot for an offense that really hasn't performed at that high of a level in the postseason. They're hoping to get it going, just hitting 231 as a club.
A little beach ball to get us going before just another fantastic day of baseball here at the College World Series, with this one to start it out. And then Wake Forest LSU tonight. 88 degrees. Quinn Matthews looks off toward the third base dugout, as he always does at the start of an inning. First pitch swinging, Maui Ahuna turns it around in the right center field, and it's a leadoff base hit and a bobble, and a recovery for Braden Montgomery. We chatted with Tony Vitello this morning after the 6-3 loss for Tennessee to LSU. They got within 5-3 in the 8th inning, but the word he kept coming back to was frustrating, because they were facing the best pitcher in the country, and they made it really interesting.
They did. They were frustrated, but I don't think defeated, right? Because they hung in there. They made it close late. And at the end of the day, Tennessee's one of the few teams here that is actually built to play 4 days in a row. Like, they have the pitching staff that could sustain that. So there's a quiet confidence about them right now, even though they lost the first one, which statistically is not a great way to start.
Here's Hunter Ensley now, the center fielder, redshirt sophomore from Huntington, Tennessee.
And I think a lot of the frustration, too, was the fact that they'd seen Paul Skeens before, and they felt like they had a pretty good game plan against him, and he kind of flipped the script on them a little bit, started to do some things a little bit differently than what he's done all year long, and I think that can frustrate you as well.
0-1, and Ensley takes a strike. Yeah, Tony Vitello said to us this morning that he had actually put on the scouting report going into that, disregard the changeup. And then Paul Skeens came out and threw it
16% of the time, which he normally throws it, about 5% of the time, so almost tripled his usage.
As if he needed another good pitch. 0-2. That's a changeup down and away. He talked about emptying the tank and what Quinn Matthews has left. Ben, you were talking with him this week. He said, I was on E, but not empty. It's when that gas light comes on.
He said it was blinking. He said I had about another 15 miles left in me. That meant 15 more pitches, but he got it done.
Ensley the opposite way at Montgomery for the first down.
But look, he's been a horse. I mean, you go back and look. In every one of his starts this year, all 17 of them, he's going over 100 innings pitched in all but 3 of them. So
100 pitches.
Yeah, over 100. And so he's a horse. He's a guy that, was a starter 2 years ago, more of a reliever last year. But David Esker told us, he said, we wanted to build him up a little bit. He had to prove to me that he could go deeper in ball games, and he's done that obviously this year.
Now he gets Jared Dickey, left fielder in the 3 spot for Tennessee. All SEC choice and the best overall hitter. And he takes strike one. And we saw that 336 pitches in the NCAA tournament in a span of 10 days for Quinn Matthews, who went twice in regionals, the CG and supers, and now does get plenty of rest, even an extra day, before taking the mound in the second game for Stanford here in Omaha. Dickey squares and drops it down, a foul, 0-2.
Yeah, I mean, Matthews has been a horse. 3 earned runs or less in 13 of his 18 appearances. 10 quality starts. Of course, 6 innings, at least 3 earned runs or less of work. And he's done that, 10 quality starts out of 17 starts. So he's been a real horse. Turned down the draft last year, wanted to come back, wanted that senior year experience. But for me, he's still going to get a chance to play pro ball. And I would not be shocked at all. At 6'5", as he feels out a little bit, he's a big leaguer.
He's ahead 0-2 on Dickey and delivers.
Oh, no
chase.
Did he go?
And Kylie McDaniel's got him as a top 5 round pick as of right now, after Matthews got drafted in the 19th round by the Rays last year. And he told us the Rays actually came very close to meeting his number over multiple days, sweetening their deal, but he decided to come back. This is pulled, and a fair ball down the right field line for Jared Dickey. Maui Ahuna goes first to third, and the balls are cooking off Quinn Matthews here in the first.
Well, one thing you see with Jared Dickey, it's elite bat-to-ball skills. He can handle pitches in all parts of the strike zone, and boy, does he put that on display right here. A 2-strike fastball up and in, and he gets the barrel to a pitch that you think you're probably looking slider here, Big Ben, and a 4-seamer up and in. He's still able to contract that lead arm, get the barrel of the bat to the back of the baseball, and a rocket down the right field line. And this is just the start Tennessee's offense needed.
Yeah, I'm surprised he gets that ball that easily with 2 strikes, right? And because Quinn Matthews, his slider and his changeup are his best pitches, and that tells me with a swing like that, either you recognize something really quickly or you just eliminated the off-speed pitches.
And to do it left on left as well. Now to the cleanup spot for the DH, Griffin Merritt, 5th-year senior, who goes up to the cleanup spot. It's a shuffled lineup for Tony Vitello in this one. He told us earlier today that they saw 3 lefty starters in the regional, so they're going back to that lineup, and it's kind of how the year's gone, just trying to find something different that'll work. 2-0.
So this is a perfect situation for a veteran hitter, right? This is Griffin Merritt. What do they call him? Uncle Griff or whatever they call him. He's the elder statesman of the group. A 2-0 count. You can't try to do too much. Use the middle of the field, get the ball in the air, and get that first run on the board.
This is line to right, and tails foul.
Right here is a big-time changeup count for Quinn Matthews, right? It's 2-1. You're going to try to use the hitter's aggressiveness against him. This is where he's going to turn over that changeup, Big Ben, and try to get a 6-4-3 and run off the field.
And this is big for Tennessee. I mean, we know they score a lot of their runs via the home run, but you don't need a base hit to score a run, especially with Chase Dolander out there. And if to make Chase Dolander even settle down a little bit more if he takes the mound for the first time with a lead.
Runners at the corners, the 2-1. It was a change, but left up and out by Matthews. Changeup was working so well for Quinn Matthews. And David Esker in that super regional start. 3-1 to Merritt. And a full count.
Veteran pitcher, Ben. Not afraid to walk him. Like, not afraid to walk him with the base. That's a back foot slider on a 3-1 count.
He's just not going to give in. He's just one of those veteran guys that's been around. Quinn Matthews' career over 300 innings pitched in college. That's a big number. That's a veteran guy that knows how to bend it a little bit, but not break.
And now a 3-2. Merritt skies this one to left. Alberto Rios creeps in. Ahuna readies, and Rios unleashes one to the plate. It's perfect. Inning over.
Well, it's a warm, hot day here in Omaha, but the wind is blowing straight in on a ball that normally would be an easy sac fly. Alberto Rios played this one perfectly. Get behind it, get your momentum. Look at the momentum. He's got all this momentum going to home plate, and he throws a strike to Malcolm Moore. Maui Ahuna has no chance to slide around the throw from Alberto Rios. And how about Quinn Matthews posting a 0 in the first?
The NCAA College World Series is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallets? Back in '95, these teams met. Todd Helton had a home run, and Tennessee topped the Cardinal here in Omaha. Now they meet again, and the other half of this star-studded pitching matchup, Chase Dollander on the bump.
Yeah, Chase Dollander, 4.50 ERA, 7 wins. How about 118 punch-outs, only 28 walks, 4-pitch mix, but it's an elite fastball. The key for me for him against Stanford, who is a really good hitting team. We know the fastball is elite. We know he can do that, but he's got to get him off the fastball in some ways and establish one of his off-speed pitches. That's going to be the key for him.
Well, they face the Stanford batting order, brought to you by Capital One, is penciled in by David Esker. It's a group that is 11th in the country in runs per game. And Berkey, you mentioned it off the top. First rounder against first rounder when Tommy Troy climbs in.
Yeah, circle this matchup, folks. We're going to see it here in the second AB. How about this? In his career, he's never swung and missed at a 95-mile-an-hour plus fastball. So if you're professional baseball, you're going, wait a second, it's a small sample size, but it's 40 pitches. Yep. He's never swung and missed, and this is one of the best swing and miss fastballs in the college game. So a really fun matchup to circle here in this one.
Amazing that this is an elimination game. These were the preseason #2, Tennessee, and #3, Stanford. Teams in the country at the outset of this season. Stanford now the #8 overall seed, and Tennessee was a 2 seed, of course, who went to Clemson the 4, got out of regionals, then won in supers at Southern Miss to get here. Eddie Park takes that fastball at 96 for ball 1. Park, the junior center fielder from San Jose, will wear you down in the batter's box. Honorable mention, Pac-12 choice. Sets the table for this vaunted Cardinal lineup. Lines this one to short at Maui Ahuna. Couple of fastballs, and there's one gone.
That's the part of the zone where Dollander gets hit. He really doesn't want to throw the ball down around the knees. That's not the part of the zone where he's most effective. And Park got a perfect pitch to hit right there. Just a little to the left, a little to the right. Yep. Stanford has a leadoff base runner.
And here is Tommy Troy, second-team All-American. Kylie McDaniel's got him going 16th overall in his mock draft to the Giants. And so it's not a fastball to begin to Tommy Troy.
There's that little short slider, Ben.
It's a little bit tighter this year than it was last year. A little bit harder this year than what it was last year for Dollander.
0-1. So it's the slider again. And again, we're talking about the fastball. These are the characteristics of what makes it so good for Chase Dollander. This was in his own words, what the pitch characteristics are for him. It's a ton of induced vertical break. It comes from a lower angle and a ton of spin rate as well. He threw it there. Troy didn't swing and miss, but it's a fly out to center. Yeah, and that's what you're going to get. You see the spin rates at the bottom, 24 to 2,500. Put that in perspective. The big league average is about 2,200. 2280 is about the big league average. And what that means is that fastball's got carried to it through the zone. Gravity doesn't affect it quite as much. So you'll see a lot of fly balls, and you'll see swings underneath that fastball because it has that carry through the zone. Well, they got an out on it against Tommy Troy that time. So Dollander's got 2 down, and now Carter Graham.
I'm going to be nerding out on Troy all day, so forgive me. Even though he just made an out. Like the wind's blowing dead end, he actually hit that ball really hard. The first fastball of the day, it's a ball. And he hits the barrel to the back of the ball. Like, that's a pitch we always see get swings and miss from Dollander. Troy still got to it.
Nubbed foul by Graham, and it's 1-1.
I think it shows you how much they respect him that they went slider to start, too.
How good is that? A couple of top 20 picks going at it in an elimination game here in Omaha. That's a heater for a strike at 96.
That's about what that fastball has averaged all year long for Dollander, right at 96. He'll tick it up a little bit higher than that from time to time.
Is 1-2. Doesn't elicit chase. It's really important for him to have good first innings too. He's been roughed up at times this year in the first inning of outings. Two to Graham and a full count.
Just not making those attractive enough to start, Ben. They're balls out of the hand, right? Graham just too good to go chasing. Hey, how about that hat? Okay.
Pine tree?
That's all in. That actually was.
Spruce tree, a cousin of the pine tree?
Okay.
That's down, and Graham walks. Looks off to his bench to fire him up with 2 outs here in a scoreless first inning. Graham had a big day Saturday against Wake Forest. 3 hits, couple doubles. RBI single in the third that put Stanford up on Wake. Again, the #1 overall team in the country. But a tough loss for David Esker and his bunch, and now they're facing elimination again, as they have often done in the postseason through the years. Here's the two-way talent, the switch-hitting right fielder Braden Montgomery. Highly acclaimed sophomore. First pitch is down, ball 1.
Well, Stanford knows its way around elimination this year in the NCAA tournament, right? I mean, 5-0. They lost game 2 of their regional, came back and won 3. Lost game 1 of their super, came back and won a couple.
It's been par for the course the last few years. The 1-0. Montgomery to the backside on a line drive, and that's a base hit. Couple of base runners on both sides in the respective first innings here in Omaha.
Just when it looked like Chase Dolander was going to breeze through the first, right? 2 quick outs. He's got Carter Graham in a 2-strike count. Can't put him away. And again, another fastball in the bottom third of the zone. This is where hitters have success against Chase Dolander. A fastball kind of down and away, and Braden Montgomery, boy, that is really tidy to the front of the zone. A rocket into left field. And the Cardinals have a great run-scoring opportunity here in the first.
With Graham at second and Montgomery at first for the Pac-12 Player of the Year and the first-team All-American Alberto Rios. Takes a slider away.
You know, if you're Stanford, you have to get ready for the fastball and hit it, because you've looked at numbers on the year. The slider, they're hitting 269 off Dolan's slider this year, 313 off the curveball, 294 on the changeup, but only 212 versus the fastball. So you got to gear up and go get it, because the off-speed stuff has not been as good.
Runners go. The pitch, a ball. The throw to second goes into center. Graham scores. Stanford leads.
How about that? So it looked like Tennessee was prepared to throw to the back base, even though you got the first baseman Graham as the lead runner. Usually you try to get to the lead runner there with not the fleetest of foot on the front end, but Christian Moore's there. Watch, Cal Stark comes up. Christian Moore's there. It's just a throw that sails to the arm side, and Tennessee gift wraps a leadoff run here for Stanford in the first.
And now the fastball leaks to make it 3-0 after the error on the defensive-minded Cal Stark. Dolander's 3-0 is a strike to Rios. David Esker is always calm and positive, and I figure that would be no different ahead of this one. As Ben said, spots his team has been familiar with the last few years in the postseason. This is hammered down the line and left, a fair ball into the corner to score Braden Montgomery. The Pac-12 Player of the Year, Alberto Rios, makes it 2-zip Cardinal.
Yeah, and this looked like a changeup to me, a right-on-right changeup, 90 miles an hour, right at 108 off the bat. Alberto Rios, a guy that has waited his turn. No, it's a little slider, but look at that slider, just backs up, just spinning right in the heart of the plate. And Rios on time and rifles this one down the left field line. No doubt Montgomery would score, and Stanford with 2 on the board early against Tennessee and Chase Dolander.
So Frank Anderson, the pitching coach, comes out for a visit.
And that's the pitch that Dolander's got hurt on a lot this year, right? Opponents are hitting 75 points better this year off of that slider than what they hit last year.
And Ben, you always talk about this, the first inning for a pitcher.
I'm telling you, the first innings are the most difficult. And you know, we've all done it 100 times. I mean, you leave the bullpen, you think you got this working for you, and all of a sudden you step on that game mound, you're facing the other team's best hitters right away. You get that adrenaline flow that you cannot create in that bullpen. It is a total different adrenaline flow, and all of a sudden you're trying to feel your way through that first inning and just trying to navigate through it till you figure out what's working for you. And Berkey, you hit it. The fastball is down where it doesn't need to be. He needs to pitch the top part of the zone, and we talked about him establishing some type of off-speed pitch to be good.
And he was 1 strike away. He was 1 strike away from trotting off this mound with just a whole hum 1, 2, 3. And boy, Stanford has just responded.
Had a full count on the 3-hitter Carter Graham with 2 outs and no one on. And now Malcolm Moore, a freshman catcher from Sacramento, who is the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. And Berkey, you said we're going to be nerding out on a lot of guys today. Let's do it on this guy and his stance and setup.
Yeah, this is about as unique as you will see in modern day baseball. Most guys are pretty cookie cutter these days. Like, my man is wide open. His hands are at his belt buckle. He's got, I don't know what you call what he's doing with his front foot. It's like a toe tap times 10. Watch his lead foot here as he gets ready. So he's wide open, hands are super low. Watch his front foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, super tappy. That's a good little changeup right there by Dolander. But here's the deal. He rakes. Like that, and that's always a good thing. And so Dave Esker, they just left him alone. Like, every once in a while he gets a little in between on getting ready to get his foot down. But man, this is an interesting move.
1-2 pitch, and Moore flies it to shallow left. For Jared Dickey to end the inning. Dolander was 1 strike away from no damage. Now Quinn Matthews goes back to work with 2 runs for his Cardinal after 1 at Omaha.
Yeah, my glove is unique in the sense of it's purple, pink, and blue. So it's a little different. There's some nicknames for it. You know, the first one was Dora. Someone called it Barney today. So I don't know, just being a little different, I guess. I had a black glove, and then another black glove, and then another black glove. So I decided, and before that I had a black glove in high school. So I was like, why not do something different? You know, I'm a senior. He's not going to yell at me for doing something out of the ordinary anymore. Unfortunately, we're past that point in the relationship.
Yeah, he has that purple and pink glove. It's hard to miss it for Quinn Matthews. Throws the rubber here in the second against Christian Moore, and gets a pop-up on a 1-0. Out into short center for Timo Becerra.
Guys, the glove obviously is really fun, right? He also usually wears a strand of pearls around his neck. He got that from his host family when he played in the Cape. The girls who were a part of that family made it for him. It's broken a couple times. He's broken a couple strands, he told us, but he wears it. He likes it. He saw Harry Styles. He's like, I'm a SoCal kid. That's what we do. My teammates kind of give me a little trouble for it, but that's who Quinn Matthews is with that glove. But you got to love that he wanted to go out and show a little color, show a little pop, get a little more attention.
I got to say pearls is the first for me. I mean, there's a lot of bling going on. I mean, Tommy White, you know, he got a lot going on.
A lot.
But you don't see pearls a whole lot. Kind of different. But this dude's a little bit different.
Yeah, that's right.
Of course, it starts being left-handed.
Fits.
Blake Burke on the ground, sharply past Timo Becerra into left center. So it's a 1-out single for the Tennessee first baseman with a ton of power here in the second. You big Harry Styles guy, Ben? Yourself?
No.
EDM music?
No.
I guess that's redundant, but
if it's not Morgan Wallen or Garth Brooks or George Strait, kind of where I'm hanging these days. Kind of where I've always been.
When you ask Quinn Matthews, what about Morgan Wallen? That was
I was impressed though. He knew who Morgan Wallen was, and he said his family does listen to some country music, but he said just it's not on his playlist.
He's like the perfect mix of left-handed pitcher, like SoCal surfer dude, and
That's
like
what
warrior.
I mean, he talked.
I love it.
I mean, I'm going back and dating myself, but remember Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Yeah.
Spicoli. He kind of talks a little bit like Spicoli, but I enjoyed visiting with him, man. He brought his purple glove. You know, we got to look at it.
He said you could try it on if you wanted to.
I didn't want to put my hand in it, but I did pick it up and look at it.
This is Zane Denton, switch hitting third baseman, who's down in the 7th spot, and he pulls one on a line to left. And a couple of hits with 1 out for Tennessee. Now they got 4 knocks off Quinn Matthews.
All right, guys, I have one more thing for you on Quinn Matthews. I want to show you this picture earlier this week. We were talking about spirit animals yesterday, Ben, and you didn't know what a spirit animal was. For Quinn Matthews, his spirit animal, it's a giraffe. How about that? Can you even believe it? Earlier this week, they picked their spirit animals, and his is a giraffe, Ben. Come on.
Well, I like the giraffe. He's very long-necked.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice drawing. I'm just not into spirit animals.
Yours is a flat-footed duck. Remember?
No, that's what you said my spirit animal was.
I'm just calling it like I see it, my friends.
The giraffe. Quinn Matthews in some trouble here, guys, in the second. This is Christian Scott now, 8-spot right fielder. The veteran takes ball 1. And you think about Tennessee. Boy, this could be a lot different for him right now, how the top of the first went and then the bottom of the first with the 2 strikes on Grant.
First and third, 1 out. Tennessee gets nothing. There's 2 outs and nobody on. And Stanford gets 2. But Tennessee answers right back here with another great chance.
Good breaking ball. There's one of those sliders, Ben.
Yeah, and he's going to need it too. And he's going to use his fastball inside as much as he can to be able to get to his changeup. So he wants to speed the bats up a little bit to get to his fastball. And it's a pretty good fastball. I mean, it's going to be 89 to 94, so it's plenty good enough. If you sit changeup or off speed, he can get the heater by you.
Misses with 93, and he wanted it.
Yeah, Brandon Cooper behind the plate today, one of the best umpires in the Southeastern Conference all year long. And what we know about that league this year, the strike zone was small. Brandon Cooper, I would be shocked if Quinn Matthews gets off the edge today in this one.
2-1. Good breaking ball again.
Just not going to give in. Not going to do it.
It's been a really nice year for Christian Scott. More hits this year than he had in his first 4 years in Knoxville combined. 2-2. Breaking ball again. First strikeout for Quinn Matthews.
Big time here. First and second, only 1 out. Got behind the count 2-1. Fished a breaking ball in there to get back to 2-2 and throws another one right behind it, and I mean perfectly executed to the outside part of the play. Can't do it a whole lot better than that right there.
So 2 down now with Burke at second, Denton at first, and the 9th spot for Tennessee is their catcher, Cal Stark. And sticking with that slider. Stark in his first year with the Vols after the last couple of years at a pair of different junior colleges, Navarro and then Weatherford. Tony Vitello said to us he's been a great game manager. Knoxville native. A 1 is a heater up and away.
Part of the story of this Tennessee team is Cal Stark going behind the plate. They decided we're going to play Christian Scott in right field. We're going to play Cal Stark behind the plate, and that put Jared Dickey back in left field where you were going to get the best offense from him because he wasn't getting beat up behind the plate. And it's a big part of their second half turnaround.
For a team that again was preseason number 2 but started 5-10 in the SEC. Well documented by now how this team got hot, and after everything that came with being number 1 last year, eventually came together, found their identity this year, and made it to Omaha for the second time in 3 years. And now it's 3-1 on Stark. Matthews ready with the 3-1. In for a strike, the slider again.
He ain't gonna do it. Seems like it feels like every time he's got himself in a plus count or a fastball count, it's been something other than the fastball. And look, when you begin to do that at any level, and you can land it for a strike, it is a recipe for success.
3-2. Cut on and miss. There's the fastball from Quinn Matthews. He fans 2 and leaves 2 in this second.
Yeah, Quinn Matthews first and second, only 1 out. Not a problem for him. Punches out Christian Scott, and after a 3-1 breaking ball, rears back and grabs 93 miles an hour and just plants it right down the heart of the plate to get the Cardinal off the field. Stanford up 2-0 as we go to the bottom of the second inning.
Great day at Old Market in Omaha, Nebraska. On this Monday, day 4 at the Men's College World Series. Not a cloud in the sky from high atop Charles Schwab Field as we go to the bottom of the second. Chase Dolander back to work against 7, 8, and 9 for Stanford, starting with the power hitting second baseman Drew Bowser for a Stanford team that got to work offensively early after putting up just the 2 runs against Wake on Saturday.
Now that's the one right there.
That's where he's got to be.
That's the pitch. Bowser comes unglued, but that's the one that's just hard to get to because of that induced vertical break at the top of the zone.
Chase Dolander's 1-1. Stays up, grabs the corner.
And it's a low release point, too. So 2 of my favorite to watch at the big league level. Spencer Strider. Shorter guy, 6 foot. But it's a low release point, and he can really push it and shove it up there so it kind of stays on plane. The other one, yeah, and that's 3 in a row, right to the top, too. And that's what Dolander can do to you. Because the command's good enough. Only 28 walks in 86 innings coming in. So he gets his first 2 strikes right at the top of the zone, and then he goes just above that. So after showing you a couple just at the top, he goes a little bit above that. That's what we call climbing the ladder.
Berkey, you asked him the other day, does he throw a 2-seamer too? Because that one, it just takes off running up and in too.
It just shoots. When he really spins it, that thing sometimes almost looks like it's rising.
And the other one is Shane McClanahan with the Rays, another 6-foot pitcher, but it's a low release point, really good spin like Dolander. He just shoves it up too and pitches right to the top of the zone.
Well, he's got the heater here early on in the second, and Owen Cobb floats one foul. The DH back into the lineup in the 8th spot for Stanford, getting back in there for the first time in a couple of weeks.
Everybody likes those big, tall pitchers, you know, the thick ones. But what we're seeing in the Days game the last 4 or 5 years really is those low release point guys that have extension out towards home plate. The average big league pitcher is 6'3", and the average big league pitcher that's won the Cy Young Award the last 20 years is 6'4". But there are some smaller pitchers in our game that are really excelling because of the analytics now.
And that's what's coming at you. This, by the way, from our umpire cam. Check out our Umpcast if you want more over on ESPN+.
I'm not saying Chase Dolander's small. I mean, he's 6'2", but a little bit below big league average, right?
Play.
And it is 1-2 pitch. Popped up foul. And he came into this year with such high expectations. Really entered the season as the best college pitcher in the country after being SEC Pitcher of the Year last season. Candidate to go first overall coming into the year. And he sat with us this week. He said, look, I was a kid out of high school who had 2 college offers. Georgia Southern, where he went, and the College of Charleston. In on the hands, and Cobb lifts this to left. Jared Dickey. 2 quick ones for Chase Dolander in the second.
Yeah, you go back and look what Dolander did last year. 10-0 with a 2.39 ERA. Only walked 13, punched out 108. And of course, he was expected when the season began to be the first college pitcher off the draft board. But sometimes when it's your draft year, man, you just put a little bit extra pressure on yourself. You think, I got to do more. I got to do more, right? And sometimes that more can backfire on you a little bit.
And you're wearing that bullseye on your back.
No doubt. Everybody wants a piece of you. And it's difficult to go do that and answer the bell every time.
Now to the 9th spot, the Stanford shortstop Timo Becerra on a very good slider that got the swing and miss.
But for me, for Chase Dolander, his last start, Berkey, and we talked about it, he went 8 innings against Southern Miss, the most he's pitched all year long. He threw 111 pitches, the most pitches he's thrown all year long. And he gave up 4 runs in the 3rd inning. And then in an elimination game, he goes 5 straight shutout innings. And that showed me a little bit about him. A lot of pitchers would have folded 10 in after 4 in an elimination game, but he grabbed a different gear. So it's in the tank for him, and that's why he's expected to be a top 10 pick for sure.
He told us, I knew if I could just get through that 1 inning, I'd be completely fine. And he was. He said it's kind of how this year's gone. If I have 1 bad inning, I can go crazy from there.
It just takes mound experience. It takes time to figure out how to minimize damage. And then if you do give up damage, a way to kind of flush it and focus on what's ahead of you and put it behind you. It's very difficult to do.
On the ground to short, Maui Ahuna. 1, 2, 3 after that one bad inning. Quinn Matthews back to work. He's a giraffe. Maybe some flat-footed ducks out in the water in Omaha.
Did you watch the College World Series last year?
I didn't. No, I was pretty upset.
Kind of go through those ups and downs during the season. You know, it does kind of help you with adversity.
I mean, this team has gone through so much more than last year's team.
I think it's made us stronger in certain situations, and it's helped us push forward and continually get better.
Yeah, they have, and they have gotten to Omaha for the second time in 3 years after the slow start to this season. Tennessee down 2-0, batting here in the third against Stanford star Quinn Matthews. Deals ball 1 to Maui Ahuna, the leadoff man who went first pitch single to start this ball game. What a turnaround from 5-10 going into that Vandy series. Jared Dickey was telling us at that point, we were saying numbers don't lie. Everyone on the team in the clubhouse was saying that something had to change. 1-1.
Yeah, and to what you guys are saying, when we talked to Christian Moore earlier this week, he said maybe there were some expectations that weren't ours from last year, and we felt like we had to outperform and fulfill other people's expectations. He said, but you know, when you lose so many guys, people start to doubt you. It was kind of a dark cloud around us, he said, but our team came together this year, Mike.
And it sure did, as Ahuna strikes out on a fastball from Quinn Matthews, and there's one gone in the third.
Well, there's no maybe about it. There was absolutely expectations that were put on them that were unearned. Now, the pitching staff that was coming back had earned a lot of those expectations, but the position player group was essentially an entirely new group of players that had to figure out their own identity, and a big piece of it was getting kicked in the teeth. Like they were 5-10 and staring a top 5 Vanderbilt team down, and down a couple runs, headed to the bottom of the ninth, figured out a way to get it to extras. Griffin Merritt hits a walk-off, and that changed their whole season.
And what Tony Vitello has built in Tennessee, I mean, you go back and look, they've averaged 50 wins a season the last 3 seasons in college baseball. I don't know if there's another team out there that's done that. And so it's about winning. And you mentioned the pitching. Of course, when you return the pitching that they had, you had to be one of the top teams in the country. Because obviously, if you can pitch it, play a little bit of defense, you're in every game. And if the offense did anything at all, you know, you knew they'd be a top-tier team. And they are. But look, everybody here's got a story. Everybody here has a story on how they got here. Everybody faced a little bit of adversity during the year. That's what it's all about. You get punched in the mouth, take a couple steps back, and then you take a few steps forward. That's how it works.
Well, Berkey, you made this point earlier. Even though they lost their first game, they have 3 first-round picks maybe who didn't pitch in that game.
That's
so
right.
they might be as well positioned as any team who could ever lose a first game here. Hunter Ensley chops it at Timo Becerra, and 2 outs in the third.
Yeah, again, the statistics aren't in your favor when you lose game 1, but they also lost game 1 of a super, right, and came back and won that. Now different format, obviously you're up against a different level of competition, but Ben, to what you were saying about what Tony Vitello has built, the only program in the SEC that's been to the College World Series 2 of the last 3 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy. One of only 4 programs, period. So it's, you know, Tennessee was in a long drought when he got the job, and he has built quite a program.
Jared Dickey into shallow right, and Braden Montgomery calls off Drew Bowser. And it's a 1-2-3 for Quinn Matthews. The counter, Chase Dolander in the second. We're in the middle of the third. Cardinal and balls. Well, we expect another good one because these games have been wild so far. Eddie Park insists he got hit on the foot from a curveball there from Chase Dolander, and so he heads on down on the first pitch of this bottom of the third with Stanford up 2-0.
Cal Stark's not arguing.
Yep.
It definitely hit dirt. You
Yeah.
see the dirt fly up.
At the top of the toe, maybe?
Off the dirt.
Guess.
Nobody's arguing. Here's our guy again, Tommy Troy.
Flew out to center his first time. You thought it was mighty impressive, though.
Well, just the barrel control, right? We talked. That's the one that he wants you to swing at. Tommy Troy spits on that one. Earlier, he swung at it and actually barreled it up. He didn't have anything to show for it, but we talk a lot about how simple Wyatt Langford's move is. Tommy Troy in a very similar vein, just a low maintenance swing. There's not a whole lot that can go wrong in this deal, and it's a really strong, compact frame. But the efficiency with which he moves and the path the barrel takes to the zone, it's just, there's not a lot that can go wrong here.
Couple of fastballs, and again, if you weren't with us, you made this point that entering today in his career, Tommy Troy has seen 40 pitches, 95 or more miles an hour. He swung at 22 of them, never whiffed.
He's never whiffed. And, you know, I think what you're seeing there with Dolander and Troy here is one of the reasons he gets a lot of swings and misses. Yes, there's unique characteristics, but also guys are cheating, right? They're starting a little earlier, so there's a tendency to chase pitches that are either marginal or out of the zone when you feel like you have to get started earlier. A guy like Troy, who really trusts his process and believes in his ability to get the barrel from A to B, doesn't cheat, and so he spits on 2 fastballs that Dolander gets chases at regularly.
He's been a steady 3-year producer for Stanford, and then this year as a junior headed toward the draft, he's had his best season yet. Put up monster numbers. 2-0. That's a good slider.
Like that.
Chase Dolander's 2-1. That's down, and Troy offered at it, according to Jeff Head. Good change there.
He hadn't thrown many, Ben, but the ones he has have been very good.
I think he's still trying to figure out what's working. Boy, that was a good slider to get back in the count, and an outstanding changeup to even it up. Now maybe you see the fastball back up to the top. One of my favorite sequences is pitching, right? Is slow, slow, fast.
Why slow 2 times?
Because I think it slows the bat down a couple of times. The timing gets off a little bit when you have the kind of fastball Dolander has. He might better sneak the fastball by.
Slider instead with Eddie Park on the move.
Well, Stanford a little aggressive today, huh? I mean, for a team that came in with not a ton of stolen bases, only 58 stolen bases on the year. They already have 2 today.
Well, Tennessee does not. They will pick, but they are not going to be quick to the plate. So I think it's part of the game plan for every team that faces Tennessee is to steal bases, right? Tennessee will do that. They will pick. They will vary their looks. But once they go, they are going to be deliberate to the plate. It puts a lot of pressure on Cal Stark. And we saw him throw one into center field earlier that allowed Stanford to score their first run.
Flip side of it is that Stanford has run into a lot of outs and almost run into even more throughout this NCAA tournament, to the point that David Esker was teasing his coaches the other day that maybe we need to work more on our base running than our hitting next year.
All right, so there's 3 in a row. Now this is where you steal.
Yeah, Eddie Park wants to go. On that second pickoff, he was leaning hard towards second base.
You get 3 in a row. Almost never does a guy pick 4 times in a row. Now the old almost never has gotten a lot of guys picked off. But I'm going to tell you right now, Chase Dolander's pitching here. And if I was Eddie Park, I'd be getting into my lane.
He leans, he leaves, and a ball. And he swipes second without a throw as Cal Stark lost it on the transfer.
That almost looked like a pitch out, didn't it?
It did.
I mean, Stark was, watch Stark. Stark for Tennessee, the catcher. He's standing up early and coming out of there.
You don't usually see a 2-2 pitch out, but it almost acted as one.
It looked like to me Stark got out of there a little bit early.
And now a 3-2 to Troy. Inside, it leaks. And the first 2 are on for Stanford against Chase Dolander in this third. Well, it brings up Carter Grant. First team Pac-12 first baseman from Los Angeles. We told you had the 3 hits Saturday against Wake Forest. Came back to walk from down 1-2 in the count back in the first inning here today. He's 5 for his last 9, going back to game 3 of the Super Regional against Texas. First pitch on the ground, foul.
The Tennessee relievers are huddling around the stairwell. It's about that time. There's way too many talented arms in that Tennessee dugout to allow Chase Dolander to get things too far behind here, right? I mean, as much as you trust him and as much as he was able to bounce back in the Super Regional, you're facing Quinn Matthews. And, you know, this is a tough decision here for Tony Vitello and Frank Anderson. How much slack do you give Dolander?
And you're facing elimination as well.
Correct.
So
yeah.
You got to go.
Long hold 0-1. And remember, you have Chase Burns, probably going to be a first-round pick. You have Drew Beam, another one of those studs who haven't thrown yet through a game in 3 innings here in Omaha. Then you asked Tony Vitello how many pitches could Chase Burns give you. He said 100 today. 1-1. Graham pops it up and it floats foul.
See, that's the one Troy just, again, he swung at the one a little bit out over the plate his first at bat, but that's the one Dolander could not get Troy to offer at. But he needs hitters to chase that one, right? That's where he makes his money.
Got to look at Chase Burns in the Tennessee dugout, huddled with those relievers. Two runs in the first for Stanford. Chase Dolander countered with a 1-2-3 seconds. Now the first two have reached in the third. 1-2. Ball curls outside.
I tell you, Dolander's using that pitch clock. Like, he's getting it down to 1 or 2 seconds almost every pitch. The pace has really slowed here in the third for Dolander.
If you're new to college baseball, we pop it up on the screen right around 12 seconds right next to the pitch total. And a strikeout up the ladder at 96. Second K for Dolander and a big first out in the third.
Yeah, that's what he does. I mean, you look at it on the year, 81 of his 118 strikeouts coming in have been on that fastball. It is his pitch is elite if he can get it right up towards the top. There's a great look at it. Low release point, and just shoves it, and it just stays on plane all the way through.
As you saw, Chase Burns and company head down to the bullpen for the Vols. So one gone now to the cleanup spot. And Braden Montgomery. Line to single, 104 off his bat to left his first time. First pitch. Backdoor breaking ball for a strike.
Now that was one that was probably a touch off right there. You see Braden Montgomery asking Brandon Cooper, is that the edge? But a nice backdoor breaking ball there. We haven't seen a ton of that from Dolander in this one.
Facing the second team All-American Montgomery. The 0-1 on the ground up the middle, past the dive of Christian Moore and into center. Eddie Park scores, and it's 3-0 Stanford in the third.
Well, great offenses turn free bases into runs, and Stanford has certainly done this. The walk to Carter Graham in the first turned into a run. Now the hit by pitch to Eddie Park. Braden Montgomery makes that one pay off on a hard hit ground ball just out of the reach of Christian Moore. Well, he was close. This has got a chance to be a double play, maybe, if he gloves it. Instead, it's an RBI single, and
just inches away. That was a changeup, and it wasn't a bad changeup. He got the ground ball that he was looking for.
And now first and third for Alberto Rios. Had the RBI double to left that he smoked in the first. Again, this guy's come out of nowhere. If you don't know Alberto Rios' story, he didn't have a hit, didn't start a game in 7 at-bats his first 2 years, and now he's the Pac-12 Player of the Year.
Ball.
He said he found out about that award at the Pac-12 tournament on Instagram.
Yeah.
David Esker then shared it with the team, and they had a lot of awards, but they saved Rios's for last because it's that good of a story. a guy who didn't even come in as a left fielder. He didn't come in as a catcher either. That's where he had been before moving to left this year. Was pushing and calling David Esker, asking for chances to be a pinch hitter last year. Got some of those, but didn't have his breakout until he found a home in left early on this season.
Never even thought about transferring, he said. Yeah. He said, no, this is the place for me. There's just too many things I love about Stanford to even think about making a move. They're glad he stayed.
Yeah, and he is too. This is where he wanted to be from the beginning. Still something to be said about waiting your turn, right? Waiting your turn, working while you're waiting, and he certainly did all those things.
Dolander's 1-1 to him, up and away.
Yeah, and to that point, Ben, you know, those 2 seasons, he didn't travel the first one. Last year he traveled and he didn't play. And I asked him, I said, what did you learn? And he said, well, watching taught me how to win. It taught me leadership. It taught me patience, guys.
2-1. And Rios lifts it to center. And Hunter Ensley. Troy tags. Ensley's throw is cut. Sack fly makes it 4-0.
Thought maybe that one had a chance to be close, right? Because all of Ensley's momentum was taking him towards the play. Of course, really tough to throw people out from center field because of the mound. But it didn't look like Ensley got his best throw off there. And boy, Stanford with a 4 spot here with Quinn Matthews on the mound. Now, this feels a little bit like Tennessee's last game, too, in the Super, where Tanner Hall had a 4-0 lead with Chase Dolander on the mound. And that's the kind of challenge they're up against. Tanner Hall had never given up as many runs as the Vols ended up responding in that game.
Malcolm Moore dribbles the first one back at Dolander with Montgomery on the move. And the inning is over. So similar to the Super Regionals for Chase Dolander in Tennessee, Stanford up 4-0 in this elimination game.
Stanford leads 4-0 over Tennessee. I'm with Cardinal head coach David Esker. Coach, what is your favorite thing about watching Quinn Matthews pitch?
I like that he's fearless. You know, he uses all his pitches. He's not afraid to miss. He doesn't get emotional out there. You know, when he's working fast and working in tempo, he can use all his pitches.
What was the game plan against Chase Dolander today?
Well, hey, he's got high velocity and high spin. We got to stay over the fastball. And just look out over the plate and be aggressive. You know, he's a great arm. He's going to be a first rounder. We knew we were facing a quality arm, so we need to be on top of our game.
Do you want me to go get you a hot dog?
I may ask a little bit later.
All right, I'll get that, Coach. Thank you.
Okay.
Mike.
That's what he did during the weather delay here on Saturday in the opener for Stanford against Wake Forest. Time to kill, hungry, so got a hot dog and put ranch on it.
Well, I think if we're going to tell the whole story, so he walked away with a little more than a hot dog. Like he got the combo. It looked like, whatever that is.
Supersize it, please.
Yeah,
Quinn Matthews working in the 4th. Griffin Merritt takes strike 1. We asked him what sort of feedback we heard. We meant from people.
There we go.
There's
there
the
it is.
full entree.
A little more than a hot dog there.
Yeah. That's what you call a double handful.
We said, what feedback did you get from folks on putting ranch on a hot dog? And he said he felt like it was maybe you got to come up with the way that game ended against Wake Forest.
It sounded better than it went down.
Went to his director in the dugout, said, I wish I didn't have that hot dog. 2-1. This is struck well, tailing foul down the line by Merritt. So 4-0 the lead for Stanford. And Tennessee's got to get to work. 4, 5, and 6.
What?
Merritt, the transfer from Cincinnati, where for 2 years he was a captain. Second on this team at OPS. Team leader in home runs. Headed to dental school. That's more like it with Mustard.
Yeah, a little Mustard.
I like both. If I had my preference, I like Mustard and ketchup on my hot dog.
Good slider again for Quinn Matthews, who's got 4 Ks.
And it felt like every time he's even in the count, behind the count, it's something off speed. And 3-2 count here again, thinking you're getting fastball. Watch him spin just a perfect kind of get me over slider. Starts it out of the zone and works it right back over the heart of the plate. Quinn Matthews is getting it dialed in, folks.
Think about this for Tennessee. You face the best pitcher in the country, possible first overall draft pick Paul Skeens Saturday in your first game. Now your second game, you're facing the guy who, behind Skeens, is number 2 in the country in strikeouts in Quinn Matthews. Welcome to Omaha. Christian Moore popped to short his first time. Second baseman in the 5 spot. Hits this one well to left, and it chases Rios back into the wind. And it's merely a flyout for out number 2. Next Sunday, MLB's London series is back for the first time since 2019. We got 2 on ESPN live from London Stadium. Starting at 10 a.m. Eastern time, Cubs and Cardinals. Then at 7 p.m. Eastern, Sunday Night Baseball presented by Casamigos Tequila. Series finale with the Astros and Dodgers. Also on ESPN Deportes. Blake Burke takes strike 1 on 94. He singled his first time.
Quinn Matthews just getting warmed up. That's his highest fastball of the game.
Ball. You know what I'm watching, though? If you're Tennessee, obviously the approach has to be hit it the other way because you got to respect the all-speed stuff. But Matthews not yet. He's not doing a whole lot of work on the inside part of the plate to the lefties or the righties yet. It's all kind of middle to middle away.
I was outside and fouled away. Do you expect that to change, Ben? Or
I don't think he changes until Tennessee changes their approach, right?
4 hits in the first 2 innings. You know, Tennessee did some good work early, just couldn't come up with a big hit, right? And how many times we've seen it where you don't get a pitcher early, especially an ace, and then they settle in.
And Alberto Rios threw out Maui Ahuna at the plate to end the first inning. One, 2.
That's how you do it.
That's all in right there.
1, 2.
Ball.
That's outside.
There you go.
Yes. Still got a decent amount left. Oh, good breaking ball. That's the rarely used curveball from Quinn Matthews. He's got that in his bag, too.
Well, he's got them all working right now, and he's retired 8 in a row. Stanford's going to take a 4-0 lead. Watch him take a little bit off this breaking ball, just work it to the outside part of the plate. Quinn Matthews doing his thing.
We welcome you back to Omaha, Nebraska. Boy, just a perfect day here in the middle of June on day 4 of the Men's College World Series. Ben McDonald, Chris Burke, Mike Monaco upstairs, Danny Wexelman down at field level. Our entire crew behind the scenes. This game produced by Bill Palladino and directed by Jeff Evers. Cut and a miss from Drew Bowser to start out against Chase Dolander, who is still out there. 56 pitches as the Vols got the bullpen working over the course of the last 15 minutes or so. Doubled up.
No, that's a changeup. Slider changeup to start this AB.
90-mile-an-hour changeup. It's right around where he is with the slider, too. His 0-2. Fastball up the ladder, and Bowser gets to it. And a 2-strike leadoff single to begin the bottom of the 4th. Well, you guys talked about the similarities to the last start for Chase Dolander when he ended up getting out there to begin the 9th inning for Tennessee.
Yeah, you know, very similar. Actually, more hits allowed to this point. And they might go right to Chase Burns here. Looks like it.
You always hear coaches say it here in Omaha. Yeah, you got to piece it together in terms of the pitching, but to even get to another game, you've got to win this game. So yes, your likely top 10 overall draft pick is coming out here in the 4th with nobody out at 58 pitches. But the deficit is 4 already for Tennessee. And Chase Burns is an uber talent who was up to 102 the last time he was on the mound. Elimination game between 2 of the top 3 teams in the country entering this year. Stanford leads, Dollander departs. Chase Dollander comes out of this game in the 4th inning. Is that the right move if you're Tennessee in this elimination game?
I would say absolutely, especially after the bullet to start this inning off, right?
Yeah, and the arms you got in that bullpen. I mean, it's elimination game. You got to go. I mean, you got to go and bring in your best. And Chase Burns certainly has been one of the best out of that Tennessee bullpen since he made that transition from starter to bullpen. 6'4", 195-pounder, making his 18th appearance of the year. 4.64. Look at the strikeouts, folks. 105 strikeouts in just 66 innings of work. He was up to 102 in the Super Regional against Southern Miss.
All-American last year and the National Freshman of the Year. Entered this year as a preseason first-team All-American. And he has been very effective here in the NCAA tournament. Tony Vitello said the other day he's our closer, but he's really a starter.
Yeah, he's got starter length. He's threw up to 99 pitches against Clemson.
Oh, and Cobb pops up a bunt, and Cal Stark runs it down. So out of the 8th spot, Owen Cobb back in there for the first time in 2 weeks. Pops it up in foul ground for the first out.
60% whiff rate on the slider. 6-0. So we were talking about Hurston Waldrop last night. 65, almost 66% whiff rate on his split finger. This is behind Hurston Waldrop. This is probably the 2nd most dominant pitch in this event. When you think about from just a pure whiff rate. Now, Skeens has 3 of them, but none of them quite as high as 60% when you look at the whiff rates.
Now he gets Timo Becerra in the 9th spot, who grounded to short his first time, and that's 98 at the knees, folks. Tony Vitello has said that Chase Burns has sort of changed the team's mentality for the Vols with the emotion that he pitches with as well. Has given this team confidence. Another great fastball at 100. So we're up to 3 guys now, right?
Put him on the list. We got 3.
Sproat, Skeens, Burns. The count is 3, folks. Will we get to 6?
The drama.
0-2. Another fastball at 101.
You know, Bowser's at first base. He only has, what, 1 stolen base on the year. But I'm telling you what, Chase Burns takes a while to get the ball to home plate. I mean, it is a big, giant leg kick. And so you got to wonder, with Stanford being up 4-0, when they get on, are they just going to start taking off? Because that's a lot. I don't know exactly what the number is, but I'm betting it's 1.5.
Oh, yes.
Maybe 1.6.
Yeah, it's.
And typically, what for? Well, you were a base stealer. I mean, what were you looking at? 1.3 or less? 1.25?
Anything over 1.35, you felt great about.
Yeah, off, moving.
Yeah.
And this looks like 1.6.
They bluff, and strike 3 called. 99 on the edge. 2 down.
The runner might have bluffed, but there ain't no bluff to this fastball.
This is high knees.
I mean, what we got going on here?
We're doing like calisthenics over at first base. I think Drew Bowser took that sign a little too much to the max.
Like our friend Danny getting ready for a track race a few years ago. What was that? But that wasn't no joke to that fastball. 99 right on the inside part.
Ben, I can't even believe that you would do that to me. Why are you doing me dirty like that?
Well, I mean, you used to go high knees
you
to
were
get
a track
loose,
star. I
right?
bet you used to do that.
Maybe to warm up.
Yeah, that's it.
Not for the race, boys. Come on.
Let me say this. If anyone out there who's in Omaha had been out in the parking lot outside our hotel this morning at what, like 7 a.m., you would have found 6'7" Ben McDonald stretching.
I was waiting. I was waiting on Danny. She's a no-show.
Eddie Park lines it to center. At Hunter Ensley. Chase Burns into the ball game, and he might be around for a while. Ben, break it down for us.
Get him up. Get him.
What we got going on here? This is a track star. Look at Danny. Look at Danny sprinting out of that cheetah. She only wishes that she was fast as a cheetah. And there's my flat-footed duck. If it don't rain, I'll just walk home, folks.
Tennessee trails by 4 to Stanford. I'm with Volunteers head coach Tony Vitello. Coach Chase Burns, what do you need from him in this game?
To be who he is. I mean, he's one of the best pitchers on the planet, to be honest with you. So he's been great at the back end of games, but this game being an elimination game calls for him to enter a little bit earlier. Doe's been our guy as well, just obviously didn't have it. They were on him a little bit today, so we'll go to him, and he'll go as long as he can. He's told me before when he's coming in or when he's going to exit and how long he's going to stay in, so we'll trust his thought.
And against Quinn Matthews, what are you seeing from your guys in the box?
You know, came out of the gates with a really good approach, just deflated the guys a little bit. We didn't get a run in the first inning, and it's hard to manage emotions on this stage, but you got to reset and get back to what was working for you. This is a guy that plays off of frustration.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Guys.
Well, that's a good start, Danny. Zane Denton with a leadoff single, his second hit of the ball game, down out of the 7th spot where he moved down to earlier today. And that's how the Vols begin the 5th.
I think that's really well said. He plays off of frustration, right? Trying harder, trying to do more against a guy like Quinn Matthews can get you in trouble. All you can do is take what he gives you. Nice job there by Zane Denton, starting this inning off with a bullet right back up the box.
Now Christian Scott struck out on a slider his first time. Yeah, the way that Tony Vitello put it to us this morning, comparing it to Paul Skeens, he said, it's got to be more like you're having a cup of coffee in the box instead of being amped up for 100. And Tony said, if you're all geeked up thinking, hey, this is the end of the season, if we don't win, Quinn Matthews will chew you up.
He will carve you up, and that's what he'll do. Because he'll feed off your aggression. I mean, how many times today has he been in plus counts or hitters counts and he's been able to fish either that breaking ball or that changeup in there to get back in the count or even finish guys?
Slider for a strike.
Well, they've just been feeding Christian Scott a steady diet of breaking balls. Probably going to get the sweeper here. That was the kind of throw it in there for a strike. This one probably going to have a little more lateral break to it.
Right on cue. Bends it across the zone, and it's strikeout number 6 for Quinn Matthews and out number 1 in the 5th.
That's the beauty of what he can do, right? He can shape the breaking ball, dump it in there for strike 2, but then sweep it here for strike 3. And Christian Scott just not seeing that breaking ball.
Just kind of a get me over and then a finishing pitch where it just whiffles out of the zone. A lot of times you use the same grip, right? But it's how you finish it and how you pull it across your body. And Quinn Matthews, I'm watching him. Every now and then the slot is just a tick lower.
You think that's intentional?
I think it is. I mean, this is a guy, I mean, we talked about this, well over 300 innings at the collegiate level. And a guy that just knows who he is, knows what he does well. And he's not going to change his approach. That's just how he pitches. It's just a veteran, what you call a veteran approach, almost like a big league pitcher.
He's facing Cal Stark, the 9-man, and the catcher struck out on a fastball his first time, and he turns around the off speed here and pulls it into left. So there's 2 on with 1 out for Tennessee in the 5th. Hey, for more info on the 2023 NCAA College World Series, go to ncaa.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships. By the way, next inning, NCAA President Charlie Baker will stop by the booth and visit with us. Ben's getting his hard-hitting questions ready. Picked a good College World Series for him to come to.
Yeah, this is a good first one for Mr. Baker. See if Tennessee can cash in on something here. 6 hits in a ball game, right? I mean, Quinn Matthews will give up some base hits. That's kind of part of his deal. 106 hits and 120 innings coming into it. So not afraid to give up the hit, but nothing of the extra base hit variety to this point for the Vols.
Maui Ahuna, the leadoff man, takes ball 1. A single and a strikeout for Ahuna, now getting his 3rd look at Quinn Matthews.
Vols, what, 0 for 3 runners in scoring position so far today.
You had said it, that Matthews had set down 8 in a row entering this inning. Line to the backside, base hit, Ahuna. Tennessee's got him loaded.
Well, it's a nice approach to start this inning. Tony Vitello talking about not getting frustrated, not trying to do too much. And Tennessee offense looks like they have responded. A really nice piece of hitting there from Maui Ahuna. And second base hit of the ball game is going to bring on Tommy Eager here to have a conversation.
Really letting it travel now. Hitting it back up the middle, letting it travel. And that's the kind of adjustments you hope to make the second and third time through the lineup.
Part of this lineup coming for the Vols. It's Jared Dickey on deck behind Hunter Ensley. Was 0 for 2 in this one, but had the 3-hit day Saturday against LSU. He hit Tennessee's first home run here at the Men's College World Series since J.P. Arancibia in 2005.
You can't ask for much more if you're a Tennessee fan, right? You get the bases loaded, 2, 3, 4 coming up. We talked about the deflation of not scoring in the first. Well, this is one you need to capitalize on.
In this elimination game in Omaha, first pitch is ball 1 to Ensley. Ensley has taken over in center field this year for Drew Gilbert. It was a first-round pick. Christian Moore said he had to replace the king, Drew Gilbert, but he has filled that role. Fouled away 1-1.
1-1 is a heavy changeup count for Quinn Matthews, especially on the heels of 2 heaters. Right, Ben? I'd be shocked if this isn't the changeup here. Maybe the breaking ball, but
even in a plus count, Ensley was late on that fastball. It tells me what I need to know as a pitcher. He's kind of sitting off speed.
Yeah, that's what he saw too, right? Back to the heater.
He is sitting off speed. I mean, we can have all the scout reports we want to have, but at the end of the day, the best medicine for me is the hitter will tell you what he's trying to do.
2-1 the count on Hunter Ensley. Matthews deals. Breaking ball pulled to left at Alberto Rios, who circles. Denton tags. Rios fires. The tag. Not in time. Tennessee's on the board. David Esker will challenge this.
How about the guts of Josh Elander right there? You know that had to be a tough send, right? I mean, you're risking ending the first and the 5th with fly ball to left double play. And that one was a little deeper. But, man, you got to have some guts here. Josh Elander right in Zane Denton's ear. And Denton, not exactly a track star. See if the hand gets in there. I think it does, Ben.
Yeah, I saw the right hand in. We'll take a look at it here.
What a gutsy call from Josh Elander. Wow, that's close, but I think he's there.
He's there.
Yeah. If that throws online, he's out again.
Yeah.
I mean, the ball beats him, but I don't think the tag does.
Now, David Esker's looking at Tommy Troy at third. Is there some portion of this where they're wondering about an appeal to third to see if Zane Denton left early, too?
Yeah, it looks like he's about to do that as well.
Which we didn't see on the replay, that Denton had left early.
They didn't. They didn't actually review the plate to plate.
Yeah, so I guess he does not want to challenge it. Now they're going to do the appeal. Okay, so he left on
now
top.
Now they're going to challenge. Yeah, that's right. Here you go.
Okay.
So you got to do that first, I guess.
Procedurally, I guess that's how it goes.
But the guys upstairs have had a chance to look at this one, right? So this shouldn't take
Stanford
long.
is challenging the play at third base as well as the play at the plate. This is Stanford's first challenge.
You get 2, you keep it if you're successful. Catch made, so he didn't leave early.
Yeah, he definitely didn't leave early. Matter of fact, he was a click late, honestly.
And I don't see nothing on this replay at home plate that tells me you got to change your mind on the call here. I thought the right hand was in there the entire time.
Quinn Matthews is doing all he could, right? He's right in Brandon Cooper's back pocket.
He's closer than the umpire.
Yeah, I think that call's going to stand. Confirmed, I guess.
You're right. How about the confidence of Josh Elander, the associate head coach for Tennessee, after getting napped at the plate in the first inning to start an elimination game and then saying,
we don't often think about the pressure of a third base coach. Like, that's about as much pressure as a third base coach will ever be under. You're getting shut out. You've already had an inning-to-inning double play on the exact same play. And he still had the guts to let it rip. I'm sure nobody was happier to see that throw offline than him.
Sixth year on staff, a veteran who's had so many great stops. Bright future ahead of him as well. And he said go to Zane Denton. Just about ready for a verdict.
After review, the runner at third base, safe. The play at the plate, safe. Stanford has one challenge remaining.
Oh, so that's only one challenge. It'd be interesting if that was two, right? Because they looked at both ends of it, but it just goes as one.
And so Hunter Ensley got Zane Denton in. And Tennessee's on the board. And here in the fifth inning, with their backs against the wall, they got their best overall hitter, Jared Dickey, in the 3 spot at the plate. He's already seen Quinn Matthews twice, singled to the pull side in the first, and then flew out to right in the third.
What?
First pitch, Dickey late.
Even though that feels like a momentum boost for Tennessee, it just one run, right? And if you're really going to get back in this ball game, it feels like your 3-0 hitter needs to cash in right here. Beach ball in left field, Mike. Aren't you keeping track of that?
We got 2 in this game.
Okay.
KP says if it happens between innings, doesn't count.
It's got to stop play.
It's fair. Matthews 0-1. Dickey in the air, left side, fading foul.
He really is leaning into that heater this inning, isn't he, Ben? It's interesting to watch.
I think he's recognizing the approach from Tennessee, and the approach is, okay, we got to let it travel. We're going to hit it the other way. We're going to hit it up the middle. And why wouldn't you? I mean, when you look at what Matthews does on the year, he throws 46% fastballs, 54% off-speed pitches.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the odds are in your favor. And I feel like a lot of times when he throws the heater, a lot of times it's for show to get to the changeup.
Fastball again.
This is what Dickey can do. Don't forget, the base hit, his first at bat was on a 2-strike heater that was up and in. But he can go to a 2-strike mode now. Very high bat to ball skills. He can waste some pitches. Really good cat and mouse game here with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position.
0-2 the count on Jared Dickey. Ball. Breaking ball away. Jared Dickey's a top 150 prospect on Kylie McDaniel's MLB draft rankings. Ahead of the draft in a few weeks. One-two. Ball.
And that's what makes him a top 150 prospect, right? The ability to let the ball travel, recognize spin, still waste a heater if he needs to. I mean, he's putting together a professional AB right now.
Yeah, he's not even close to offering those balls.
And Quinn Matthews climbs back on and will toss over to second. Pitch clock was winding down there.
Yeah, it almost like Quinn Matthews called for a pickoff there. He wasn't quite sure what he wanted to throw, and I think he motioned over to his shortstop. But Sarah said, okay, let's put a pickoff, move on, give me a little bit of chance to figure out what pitch I want to come with next.
Ball. Full count now on Dickey.
So from 0-2 to 3-2. And the last 3 pitches nowhere near the strike zone.
Tried a couple of breaking balls, then went back to the fastball there, and now full. Payoff pitch. Dickey on the ground, foul.
He saw that one good. He actually missed an opportunity there just to click early, but that one was a Now, but get me over 3-2 breaking ball that Dickey was just a hair out in front and over the top of. This has been one heck of an AB right here on both sides.
Cleanup man Griffin Merritt would be next here in the 5th. 3-2. Dickey lines it past Becerra in the center. Stark races around and scores. 2-run ball game in the 5th.
It's a bad, like, that's why you buy a ticket. That's why you love the game of baseball. It's great versus great, and Jared Dickey wins this one. What an at-bat by the Tennessee 3-hole hitter. Let that ball get to the front foot and then just tidy to the front of the zone. A rocket right back up the box. And Ben, is that how they teach it with the pitchers diving to do the cutoff?
I'm thinking he's supposed to be behind home plate. But that's just a frustration move, right? You had a guy down 0-2 and you couldn't finish. You give up a big base hit. How about Dickey's approach to it? I was watching the front foot. He never strided at all. He just put his foot down and just let his hands work.
2-run game, 2 aboard for Griffin Merritt, taking a mighty swing, trying to send that one to Lone Tree, Iowa. Well, here's the guy who's had some big hits this season. He had walk-off home runs twice in the span of 7 days back in April, including when the season turned around for Tennessee with a walk-off to beat Vanderbilt in the bottom of the 12th in a thriller in front of a sold-out crowd at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. A 1. This is laced into left by Merritt. They stop Ahuna at third. Vols have him loaded.
Well, the approach for the Vols in this inning has been on point. I'm telling you what, Quinn Matthews, we talked about this earlier. He better start using his fastball to the inside part of the plate a little bit more. If you're not going to throw it for a strike, at least make him think you will and get the ball in to be able to get to his best pitches, which are the off-speed pitches. But right now, it's no fastballs to the inside part of the plate, and Tennessee is on time on the off-speed pitches.
You said you didn't think that Matthews would change and do that until Tennessee forced him to change. They're forcing him now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Saw Drew Dowd, the trusted and veteran left-hander, up in the pen for David Esker.
It's a different situation, these two teams, right? This is Stanford's guy. Tennessee has a few of them that they can go to when things get sideways, but Dave Esker's going to just continue to let Quinn Matthews try to wiggle out of this one. Tennessee with now 9 hits in this ball game.
Christian Moore is 0 for 2. Popped a short, fly out to left. First pitch, fouled back.
Ooh. Tried to get in there, didn't he? He didn't really get all the way in there.
5 hits in the inning.
After 4 in the first 4, which we felt like was pretty good the way Matthews was throwing it.
All singles, though, to this point. No extra base hits. Of course, with that wind whipping in, the line drive is certainly the ball flight you're looking for.
And now it's 0-2 on Moore. Leaning on that fastball these first 2.
He's recognizing. He's trying to make the adjustment as Quinn Matthews. And he's got his guy down 0-2 here. Can he finish him is the question.
Quinn Matthews deals. And Moore lays up. Moore, who had a sensational regional to help Tennessee even get to this point. Down in Clemson, South Carolina, where he was 7 for 10 with 4 home runs, a couple of doubles, and the regional MVP. Now in Omaha, 1-2.
I don't know if that was intentional, but that one kind of cut in.
But you see how defensive the swing was on the ball on the inside part of the plate. And I agree with you. I don't think that's where he wanted it, but that should have told him something. That's a very defensive swing on the ball on the inside part of the plate.
Does it set up changeup away?
It does. But I'd like to see him double up. Even if it's in off the plate, double up in there.
Changeup rolled into center field, a base hit. Ahuna scores. Dickey's right behind him. And Christian Moore delivers. He didn't double up on it.
No. That's what you call sticking to your approach, right? Even though he got the heater in, he said, you know what? I came up here looking for something off speed, and I'm going to sit on that all-speed pitch, and he does. Change up, and it was a pretty good pitch down and away, but when you're looking for it and you're leaning out over the plate like he was, hunting it, and he just rifles it right back from whence it came, and we are all new again.
What's he pointing at there? Is that something with the pitches being called? For Quinn Matthews, he's looking off maybe into his dugout.
Ball!
And now ball one to Blake Burke, the ninth ball to come to the plate here in the fifth. Two and out. Shades of Hattiesburg for Tennessee. Burke singled and has struck out.
Ball.
That's down and away. Chase Burns looked pretty good when he came on to get 3 outs in the fourth. He only needed 8 pitches. Meanwhile, Quinn Matthews has thrown 31 pitches in this fifth. 3-0.
Ball 4.
Burke walks on 4 pitches. So what do you do? This is the guy for Stanford, as you said, Berkey. Dissimilar from Tennessee's loaded pitching staff of first rounders.
Well, looks like that's it. We wondered what the bounce back would be. He had the extra day rest, but that heavy workload to get him to this point might be catching up with Quinn Matthews. Just haven't seen just that swing and miss changeup, right? We just haven't seen the bite to the changeup that we saw his last time out. You got to give Tennessee a bunch of credit. A team that's built their offense on the long ball today with 10 singles. And they finally came up with a couple big 2-out RBI knocks to pay off all these base runners.
This is a senior in Quinn Matthews who, like Alex Williams and Brendan Beck before him, came back for a senior season. Became the Pac-12 pitcher of the year for moments like this. And told us in the Super Regionals they were going to have to rip the baseball out of my hands. And if this is it for Quinn Matthews, regardless of how this game goes, what a career it's been for the Cardinal, for the left-hander.
Well, the day is complete for Quinn Matthews, and he was as good as expected early. Good breaking balls that were down. He changed a little bit of the shape of the breaking ball from time to time, some good changeups. And all of a sudden, Stanford or Tennessee's approach began to change for me. I mean, they started sitting more on all-speed pitches, looking for the ball up, out, over the plate. You see those changeups. A couple of them were up in the zone. That's a really good piece of hit right there. So a combination of the ball getting up, a different approach by Tennessee for sure has pushed Quinn Matthews out of the game.
And has brought in Drew Dowd, who pitched Saturday against Wake Forest. He came on in the 5th inning, went 2 hitless innings on 24 pitches, retiring all 6 that he faced before that weather delay.
This is one of their best, right? The fastball velo around 92 miles an hour. Really good breaking ball. 46%, 47% swing and miss on the curveball. He'll show you changeup and slider too, but it's that fastball curveball combination that Dowd leans into.
Yeah, I mean he shut down Wake Forest. 2 innings of work, then was perfect. Punched out 1, numbers on the year, making his 32nd appearance. 64 to third, 86 punch outs for him. But he inherits a tough situation. Bases loaded and 2 out.
Merritt singled. Christian Moore had a 2-run single, and then Blake Burke just walked on 4 pitches to end the day for Quinn Matthews. Win or go home at the Men's College World Series here on day 4. Winner plays Tuesday night against whoever loses between LSU and Wake tonight.
Ball.
Breaking ball a little bit south of the knees to start out Zane Denton, who's got a couple of singles. It's a guy who came here with 4 home runs in 6 games in the NCAA tournament, including just some huge ones on the road to Omaha.
Ball.
Couple breaking balls to begin. Dowd to Denton. Fastball at 93 for strike one.
Boy, it's a green light special right here for Zane Denton. Swinging it well already. 2 rockets in this ball game. Bases loaded. Fastball count.
Ball. That's out.
Breaking ball misses outside.
Now it's a fastball count.
Is there such thing as a fastball count anymore?
Yeah, it's a good call, but you could tell right there he was hunting one. He didn't even think about offering at that backdoor breaking
And that's
ball.
a couple breaking balls that either one could have been called a strike, and neither one of them were.
Three one. That's a strike at the top of the zone and a full count on Denton.
Well, if he throws it 3-1, the old adage, is he coming back with it 3-2?
Especially with 3 in a row. I would have a pretty good feel for it.
With Matthews forced to watch. Bases loaded. Dowd delivers. It's a fastball fouled away.
Denton was looking for it. He was very, very late on that fastball. But how could you not be, right? After the 2-1 breaking ball, 3-1 breaking ball, I mean, it has to be in your mind.
Zane Denton is the quiet assassin, Christian Moore told us. In a pressure-packed spot here. Payoff again, and Denton spoils it.
Well, Tennessee has put together some outstanding, some professional at-bats in this inning.
They tied this game at 4 in the 5th. Loaded. 2 outs, full counts. Dowd to Denton. Bounce to third and foul at Tommy Troy.
Back to the breaking ball. Fastball, he's late. Curveball off his foot. Curveball fouled down the third baseline. At this point, Dowd not real sure where to go. One thing Denton will do too is he does a pretty good job of staying in the strike zone. He will not chase too often.
Jared Dickey had an 8-pitch at bat. This is the 9th pitch from Drew Dowd to Zane Denton. Did he go? Yes! And it's a strikeout to end the inning.
The tighter slider there, Ben, not the big bender. That was the tighter slider, but Tennessee responds in a big way right when they needed it the most. A 4 spot highlighted by one of the best at-bats you'll ever see by Jared Dickey. Christian Moore pays it off. We got ourselves a brand new ball game, folks.
Paul Skeens did something on Saturday only 2 pitchers in the big leagues have done this year. Averaged 99.7 miles an hour with his fastball.
Yeah.
Is that good?
I mean, we looked on Pitch Savant, and going into that start, there's only one pitcher in baseball that was averaging even 98.5 on the year with the fastball. That's how different it is for Paul Skeens. But forget the velocity. I was impressed with the changeup, the ability to go to his 4th pitch in a big moment and just kind of ride that 4th pitch to what he did, 12 punch-outs.
That game coming up, 7 Eastern, 6 local, right here on ESPN. LSU and Wake Forest. Ty Floyd against Josh Hartle. He's been one of the top arms in the country this year, and those are the only 2 teams that have been ranked #1 this year, and also the only 2 undefeated in the NCAA tournaments. Tommy Troy here for Stanford, looking for a response. 2, 3, and 4 for the Cardinal. Beginning with the superstar third baseman for Stanford against Chase Burns. No swing from Troy, 2-1. Berkey, you said it's a big whiff rate on the slider for Burns.
It's a big whiff rate on the mound and a very small whiff rate in the box. So another great matchup here for Tommy Troy.
Slider to the edge. Troy with a fly out to center and a walk-off Dolander, and now he gets Burns. 2-2. Troy tried to lay off and did on 99, so he still never whiffed on 95 plus.
Thought we had our first one right there. Golly, this kid's good. Watch him put on the brakes. Ooh, that got close, Big Ben. What you think?
That
you want
was
that
close.
one?
I want that one. I want them all.
3-2. Cut on and missed.
That's not fair. Throw me 100 up, and then 3-2 count. I'm thinking I'm getting a fastball. And Chase Burns just brings this elite slider in there, 3-2. Takes a little bit off and just works it right to the outside part of the plate. There's a spin. Dot on the front of it, a dot on the back of it as well.
Now he faces Carter Graham, who's walked and struck out. We talked to Chase Burns. Ben, you said it. He hit 102 in the Super Regionals. He said that was the hardest pitch I've ever thrown. Burns told us he hit 101 in high school.
In high school?
But never 102. And he was as fired up as you will ever see a pitcher coming off the mound when he walked off. Well, he didn't really walk off.
I was concerned because he had a couple more innings to go after that. And I'm going, sometimes you get so amped up. Look, buddy, you got 6 more outs to get. But he got them.
This is what it looks like coming at you. Carter Graham pops it up right near the second base bag. He got to 99, but it finds the glove of Christian Moore. For out number 2. All right, so Burns has come in, and it's 5 up, 5 down, and we got a tie ball game now.
Yeah, boy, the momentum swings in this one have been crazy, right? And if you're Stanford, it's even tougher to deal with because you had a 4-run lead, you lost it with your ace on the bump, and this is what you're staring at. Like, as good as stuff, maybe besides Skeens, in this event.
Yeah, you hope the key for Stanford's going to be the bullpen for them. Can they stack some zeros and just try to wear down Burns if you can? Now, we know about his length, and he can give you 100 pitches easily. But you hope that the second time you see him, maybe you make some adjustments off of him.
Ball.
I think the key for Stanford is getting some guys on base. They got to get some guys on base and take advantage, or maybe taking an extra 90, get some guys, and maybe playing a little bit of small ball to try to get the lead back.
Braden Montgomery has a couple of singles. The All-American cleanup man just saw a 92-mile-an-hour changeup. Now 1-0 from Burns.
Ball and a curveball. Wow, that'll let you know how much they respect the 2 at-bats Montgomery's put together in this ball game. Change-up, curveball. Those are not high on Burns' pitch priority list.
Fouled away. He still doesn't get a fastball. Stuff is so good for Chase Burns. Like we said, maybe only Skeens has better in this tournament. LSU's head coach Jay Johnson said back when they faced Tennessee, there were a couple at bats where it doesn't matter if Mike Trout is hitting.
Now Waltrip may have something to say about that too. It's good. University of Florida. Now, that stuff he had. That's some big time stuff too. Fastball and that split finger, almost like a forkball, is really what it is because of the lack of rotation that it has.
Hurston Waldrop's got 37 strikeouts in 21 innings in the NCAA tournament.
He's made himself a little bit of money these last 3 starts.
Pulled foul, full count on Braden Montgomery.
Just a little illustration of how few times Chase Burns has thrown those pitches. 35 and 36 coming into this start. Change-ups and curveballs. Like, very few. And that's how he started Braden Montgomery. Boy, Montgomery, what a bright future this man has. Up to 97 on the bump as well. Monster sophomore season.
3-2. Montgomery stays alive, and that one clips off Cal Stark, the catcher.
He ain't got no pad for this one, Berkey. Not where that got him.
Was it the arm or the shoulder?
I thought it was the arm. Oh, up top the shoulder.
It's no protection.
Shoulder, face mask, and quite a lot there.
Gas at 101 up the ladder from Chase Burns.
Come on now, Chase Burns. How about some high-octane stuff? We've seen 102, but he ain't far from it. How about 101 right top shelf? Well, Tennessee, all the momentum right now, but we got a tie ball game headed to the top of the 6th inning.
Back at the Men's College World Series in Omaha, Ben, Berkey, and Mike with you. And we got a special guest who stopped by, NCAA President Charlie Baker, kind enough to join us. Thanks, Charlie, for stopping by.
I'm happy to be here, and this is quite a spot. I now understand why when college baseball players talk about the College World Series, they talk about going to Omaha.
How great is this? It's your first time here, right?
Yeah. It's a beautiful park, and the vibe's terrific, and obviously the fan base is just watch who cheers for what. It's very clear there are a lot of people here who just like the baseball, and they're wearing a lot of other schools' gear. So this is clearly something that brings a lot of people who aren't just rooting for the teams that are playing.
Christian Scott leading off the 6th for Tennessee, flies it toward Alberto Rios for the first out. So what, 3.5 months on the job so far?
Yeah, I'll be 120 days at the end of June. Yeah.
What's it been like getting settled into this?
Well, it's a slightly bigger footprint than the state of Massachusetts, which is where I was governor for the past 8 years.
My home state, I might say.
Yeah, I made this commitment that I wanted to meet with all 97 conferences in my first 100 days, and
how are we doing?
I'm at 81.
Okay.
Wow. So I'm going to try and make it. I'm going to amend my original commitment to 120 days, and hopefully I'll get to all 97 by then. But
81
it's been
conferences or 81 days?
81 conferences
okay.
I've met with in my first 108 days.
Okay, yeah.
And I got to tell you, my reason for doing that was twofold. Number one, I wanted to get to as many people as I could to just hear what they had to say directly to me. And the second was, I knew I would learn a lot, and both of those things have turned out to be true.
What have you learned? What are you hearing from the different conference commissioners?
Well, obviously, a lot of the folks had a lot to say about name, image, and likeness, NIL, and the fact that it would be really nice if the thing had some transparency and accountability about it. I heard that, by the way, from student athletes and families as much as I heard about it from schools. And we're certainly going to try and see if we can get that done with Congress. But we're also going to run the traps inside the NCAA's own process. I really do think there should be a clearinghouse. Everybody seems to think there should be some place you can go to find out what the deals are. I also think there should be some certification process for agents, because I've had too many kids and families tell me too many stories about, neighbor, friend, uncle, cousin, quote unquote, repping them, which is a problem. And there should be some kind of uniform financial standard contract, because we have that in every other industry you can think of. I've heard a lot about the importance of the identities of each of the divisions, which is, I kind of wish they weren't D1, D2, and D3, to tell you the truth. That seems kind of hierarchical. I think they should be people should think about them as side by side, not, 1, 2, 3, because when people talk about them, they talk about going up to D1 or down to D2 or down to D3 or up to D2. They're different, and they're serving a different kind of student athlete, and I would love to figure out some way to try to help those divisions understand and be recognized by their brand and what they're trying to accomplish on behalf of kids. I also think the social media stuff has just come up over and over and over, and I think it's going to get worse with sports betting. That's one of the reasons why we did a big sports betting study pretty early on in my term. We went out right after the March Madness tournament. We surveyed 5,000 kids between the ages of 18 and 22 to get a baseline, and guess what? They all bet. And whether you live in a state where it's legal or not doesn't really matter. It's pretty easy to get around that, and at this point there's 35 states plus or minus that are where it's legal to begin with, and a lot of kids are betting on sports, college sports, and a lot of them are betting on the sports on their own campus, which I think creates huge issues for student athletes just in terms of their interaction with their classmates and their schoolmates. And I'll tell you, a lot of kids have shown me stuff on their phones that's been said about them and to them when they make a mistake, they miss a shot, they throw a wild pitch, they don't make the play, whatever it might be. When I played, it wasn't like that. And a lot of these kids, what's going on inside their phone is real. And I think we need to sort of factor that in and figure out some way to help them deal with that stuff.
And we got 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. Hunter Ensley, the batter. Cal Stark got hit by a pitch. Drew Dowd is working for Stanford on for his first full inning as we visit with NCAA President Charlie Baker here during a tie ball game in Omaha. Hunter Ensley had a sac fly in that 4-run 5th inning. Another hit batter for Tennessee to put 2 aboard. What have you heard as far as the portal goes when you go out and have conversations?
Yeah.
What are people saying about the transfer portal?
Well, if you just got somebody through it, you love it. If you just lost somebody, you hate it.
Too.
It's funny how that works. Look, I think the portal, there's a couple things about the portal we need to remember. One is we have a lot of student athletes going into the portal who have a 5th and 6th year of eligibility. So, I mean, I can't tell you how many kids I've talked to who are seniors who are in the portal because they are going to play someplace else next year as a graduate student. We also have, the classes of 24 and 25 didn't actually get to visit the school they had to choose. I think a lot of the kids, I mean, if you look at the numbers of students, period, at colleges who've been transferring for the past few years, the numbers are really high. The student athlete numbers are actually lower as a percent of their total part of the population. But there's a lot of movement that I think is driven by the fact that you had 2 years where most kids didn't get a chance to visit a school before they had to choose where to go, which is complicated. And I do think for student athletes, this lack of any available real information about what's going on in NIL, other than the hearsay and the mythology and the misinformation that somebody feeds you, is a problem. I mean, in D1 last year, almost half the kids that went into the portal didn't land anywhere. And I'm convinced that they were pulled into it by somebody who was just collecting names and trying to see if they could land them somewhere. If you could validate or verify when somebody says you're worth X or I've done Y, I think that would make it a lot easier for families and student athletes to make good decisions instead of what for a lot of kids turned out to be bad ones. So yeah, the portal needs work, but I think there's a lot of noise in it at the moment that's due to COVID. And I also think the NIL, the lack of any kind of transparency in NIL is also making it worse.
Yeah, it seems to be a difficult time, right? And the NCAA, to me, has always been about parity. And everybody, we're going to try to make it fair for everyone. But it feels like where we're at today with the portal and the NIL money, it's the furthest thing away from parity that we've seen in a lot of years. And I wonder what you guys think about that, and there's any thought about changing that? Because it almost feels like the non-Power 5 schools, like the mid-majors, are almost a feeder, because they're developing these kids, and all of a sudden they blow up and they become really good players, and all of a sudden they're gone from programs and they move up to different levels, and it's creating, in my opinion, the haves and the have-nots, and I just wonder what the thought process is behind that, and can anything change, or it is what it is right now?
Well, I think it is what it is right now. And the question is, if you created a transparent NIL system that had real rules and a real framework, which it doesn't have now.
Like a cap, kind of? Were you thinking about maybe a cap or a...
I don't think you can do a cap, but you can certainly get to the point where somebody's got to put the deal that they signed into the public domain and own it. And that would also give a lot of people the ability, because everybody's living on mythology at this point. I mean, I talk to coaches all the time who say, I got to re-recruit my class. But I have no idea if any of the stuff that's being said to my players, my student athletes, is true or not. It's just what they're being told.
That's what I feel for the coaches, and you talk to a lot of coaches, and that's what they say. I'm trying, not only am I recruiting into the NIL, I'm recruiting my upcoming class, but I'm trying to keep the kids that I have from leaving too, and it's the most difficult time, I think, for me, for starting coach, for head coaches right now, is the world that they're living in right now.
But I think, first of all, I think part of it is there's a lot of COVID floating around in there too. Don't forget about all those kids who probably didn't make the right choice because they didn't get to go to campus. They didn't get to do a lot of them just had a really crummy experience the first year or two. I think that's got to process through the system. But I really do think we got to put some parameters. And when I say parameters, I mean like publicly available information about what's real and what's not in NIL in place. And I do think that will take some of the gas off the fire.
Charlie, thank you so much for stopping by.
Nice to see you guys.
Enjoyed it.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you.
NCAA President Charlie Baker, kind enough to stop by. Tennessee leads 2. Tennessee almost took the lead, but left 2 with Jared Dickey, their best overall hitter, at the plate there in the 6th. And now Stanford, just moments ago between half innings here, facing elimination, a spot they're so comfortable in. Hearing it from their head coach, David Esker, as this game gets late.
I think he's feeling what we felt last half inning, which there can be a little bit of resignation when you see how nasty the stuff is of Chase Burns. And I think he's imploring to his dudes, like, guys, we got to hang in here. First of all, there's a ton of game left, right? And it's not like Chase Burns hasn't been had. Now, recently,
a little different.
It's been a little different, but you got to fire your dudes up and make them believe, right?
Yeah, and I think the message could have been, hey, we just took their best punch. Like, we just took their knockout punch, and we're still here. It's a tie ball game. Now it's time to go to work.
You almost have to remind them it's tied because it kind of doesn't feel like it.
Yep.
It is. It's 4-4 in the bottom of the 6th. Our thanks again to NCAA President Charlie Baker for swinging by the booth. Alberto Rios tags this on a line, but foul loudly. Conference Player of the Year who had an RBI double in the first out of the 5 spot leading off for Stanford. See 105 off the bat. It's amazing how good Stanford has been in elimination games, especially pre-Omaha in recent years. Rios pops it foul. You look at their home ballpark, Sunken Diamond, out at Stanford. Going back to 2019, the Cardinal has won 14 straight must-win games on their home field in postseason play. David Esker said a couple of days ago they don't want to give that jersey up. Burns 1-2 to Rios is lined into left field, a base hit. Alberto Rios is the first to reach off Burns, Danny.
Yeah, well, while Stanford had their meeting during the last half inning for Tennessee, Chase Burns, Seth Halverson are talking in the dugout. Seth is showing Chase his changeup grip with a ball, and they're talking it over. And actually, I talked to Tony Vitello, and I asked him last half, what was the difference for your guys at the plate? He said, Chase Burns, that guy right there, he makes our dugout loose, our lineup loose. It's that guy. He's the difference maker, guys.
What we're going to do, come up with a new pitch? Throws 101 and wipe out slider. Hey, if you get a chance, fish one of these in there.
Starts out with gas in 98 to Malcolm Moore, the freshman catcher, with a fly out to left at a comebacker back in the 3rd.
We talk about the process with which Moore has to go through to get ready to hit. You better speed that process up here a little bit against Mr. Burns.
Good, quick, stay ready. Get ready.
Yeah, and look, the fastball is the one you want to hit. Opponent's hitting 274 off the fastball, only 160 against that slider. I don't know how they're hitting that high off of that fastball.
The 0-1.
Ball is out.
That's outside with the changeup.
That was a changeup, yeah.
David Esker barking the signs out from the dugout. Win or go home in Omaha, Nebraska. Backdoor slider.
Good luck on that one. 99 off the edge, and then pair that with a little backdoor breaking ball that bends the other direction.
On the base.
Five of the first 6 games here decided by 1 run. We're tied in the 6th. The 1-2 sails, and Cal Stark stabs that somehow.
Whew. The old snow cone right there, Ben.
It almost looked like he caught it behind him. Well, he's sitting down and away. This one is.
Yeah. Wow, man. 2-2. Moore on the ground. Foul. It's the luxury that Tennessee has with its pitching. Tony Vitello said it to us this morning. Said really, other than Wake Forest, whose pitching staff is best positioned to win 4 games. Tied with Stanford. Burns 2-2.
Another changeup. Whatever Halvey taught him in there, he's digging.
He's doing it.
As a reliever, Chase Burns has had a 2.19 ERA coming into this one. 36 Ks in 24+ innings.
Slow to the plate, but really quick feet on that move. Making sure Rios doesn't get jumpy over there.
2-2. Rios, by the way, has had a really good day. RBI double in the first, sac fly in the third, single to lead off this sixth.
Playing like the Pac-12 Player of the Year. A couple ribbies.
Eighth pitch of this plate appearance. We'll have to wait. Moore waits on a 2-2 and strikes out. Breaking ball from Chase Burns, and he's punched out 4. NBA draft is Thursday night at 8 Eastern, live in Brooklyn, with the Spurs holding the first pick, and you don't want to miss it. Thursday night at 8 Eastern on ABC, ESPN, ESPN Radio, and the ESPN app, with coverage starting at 7:30 here on ESPN, right after SportsCenter. You got Victor, Scoot, and Brandon Miller expected to go top 3. Drew Bowser fouls off the first one he sees from Burns. Strikeout on a fastball up, and then single on a fastball up for Drew Bowser. His last time leading off the 4th. Oh, 1. Knee high strike.
Well, that's the one because of the spin rate as a hitter, right? You see it that low, you say, okay, it's going to drop clearly out of the zone. But because of the high spin rate, the carry through the zone, it just kind of stays on plane. And that's how high spin rate fastballs can work. You want to get them mostly to the top of the zone, but if you can work them right at the bottom of the zone sometimes too, that's the one the hitter gets up on because they think it's just going to just ride right out of the zone, and it just stays there.
Strike 3 called out of Hundo. 2 gone.
Well, that's just my best against yours. Chase Burns versus Drew Bowser. And watch the action on this 4-seam fastball. Just grunts it and rips it right to the backside part of the plate. And here's the analytics we're talking about: 2650. So that's 30% more than the big league average when it comes to spin rate. Big league average about 2280. And again, that is elite.
Oh, and Cobb bunts it to third, and he's on. With the first pitch bunt single to put 2 on for Stanford with 2 outs here in the 6th.
This is Denton's ball. Chase Burns has no chance to make this play once he's the one that gets to it. And I know Denton is back, but if anybody has a chance to actually make this play, it's Denton. You like Cobb trying to take advantage of it, but this is where the big right-hander needs to get out of the way, let third baseman play third base. That is just such a hard play, running away from first base to try to change your momentum and get rid of that ball quickly. Nice job there by Cobb. Little 2-out base hit bunt. We don't see that a whole lot anymore.
So 2 on to the 9 spot for Timo Becerra in only his 11th start of the season. This guy was essentially their 3rd string shortstop. Trevor Haskins was set to start the year. Got diagnosed with mono early on. And so Owen Cobb, who just dropped down that bunt single, had been the shortstop essentially all year for David Esker. Until some throwing issues for Cobb, forced to change. And Becerra has hit. Lines it to left at Dickey, who makes the catch. And the inning is over. Tennessee and Stanford both strand 2 in their halves of the 6th. Chase Burns for the balls as we go to the 7th.
People will tell you that the College World Series signifies an end to a season.
It's all over. They win the championship. championship.
But really, it's the start of a season, and it's the best season of them all. Summer.
Well, you always love this event on this calendar, this time of the year, every year. But this event coming in, felt like this season it had a chance to be unlike any other. And it has not disappointed so far with the teams, the players we have here, and then the games we've had as well.
And here we are, 4-4 in the 7th. I mean, you kidding me? Like, man, it just keeps delivering.
5 out of 6 one-run games. How about that? There it is. First time in men's College World Series history.
Now again, new pitcher comes on for Stanford in the 7th in this tie ball game. It's the freshman righty, the big-bodied Matt Scott from Connecticut.
6'7", 231, 5-4, 46 ERA, 66 and 2/3, 62 punch-outs. Fastball is going to be anywhere from 91 up to 95. Good slider and a changeup. Slider's probably his best pitch. Swing and miss about 30% of the time. Oh, and how about Drew Dow? Drew Dow was good both of his outings in the College World Series.
That did not allow a hit. He did hit 2 balls during the last inning, and after 27 pitches, he comes out with a couple of righties here, 4 and 5, and the Vols lineup beginning with Griffin Merritt, who singled his last time to the pull side. Ball and a strike. Matt Scott was the Gatorade Player of the Year in Connecticut, 4 times first team All-State. Really high recruit. Got drafted out of high school as well by the Texas Rangers in the 20th round, but instead went to Palo Alto. Chase Burns looking good on the other side. Scott's 2-1.
This is where it gets a little interesting for this Stanford bullpen, right? As high as the ceiling is for Scott, the results have been pretty mixed in the postseason. And, you know, at the 7 innings, it's 8 hits, 6 walks, right? He's dealt with a ton of traffic here in the postseason.
Center cut, and Merritt pops the 3-1 up, foul.
It's a big opportunity here for the youngster, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, Stanford's ERA on the year, I mean, they come into this at 5.72. That's the highest ERA out of any of the 8 teams that made it to Omaha. While they've been better lately, pitching has not been the strength of the Cardinal this year for sure.
Three-two. Misses. And Griffin Merritt works a leadoff walk here in the 7th for Tennessee. So David Esker immediately comes out.
Oh, he just waved everybody off too. He said, "Nope, not y'all. It's going to be me and the young right-hander." That was this is not Tommy Eager, the pitching coach, coming out. This is the skipper, and he decided to.
This is going to be what you call a one-way conversation.
That was interesting. Tommy Troy started walking towards the mound, and Esker's like, "Not you."
That's a bobblehead of yes, sir, from Matt Scott.
That's not helping, right? Trust your stuff.
Yeah, I want to see you be aggressive. Your stuff's too good. I want to see you aggressive in the strike zone.
And a confirmation of visits from David Esker.
Here's the wave off right here. Nope, not you guys. No, don't need you. Just me and the right-hander here. I guess I'll let the catcher come. Malcolm, you can come. The rest of you, stay in your spots.
How good have these games been? My word.
Best I can remember.
Merritt's at first, nobody out. Christian Moore had the 2-run single his last time in the 5th inning.
Ball.
And it's a ball from Matt Scott. There's action in the pen, and things have looked so different the last few weeks for the Cardinal in terms of how they're handling their pitching. David Esker said to us today, we've integrated a lot of our starters as relievers here in the NCAA tournament.
Well, that's what happens right there. I mean, that ball is probably a strike, and Esker cannot believe it. But when you throw a lot of balls and you get a marginal pitch, umpires used to saying ball versus strike.
Dave Esker just said, Brandon, where was that? 2-0. Moore cuts through a heater.
Well, we said it from the jump. Brandon Cooper has a tight zone, and he has been true to that zone essentially throughout the course of the ball game. That ball was, probably on the edge, maybe a touch off, but this is not a new development with Brandon Cooper's zone. He's been very consistent throughout this ball game.
2-1. Couple of good fastballs to the glove side.
Christian Moore just a touch target. He loves using that right center gap, loves hitting the ball the other way, and a couple fastballs in a row there where he had opportunities and he just not quite there with the barrel.
Well, you get the feeling that Scott's fastball playing better than what it's showing, right? At 6'7", probably with his extension, 93, he's probably playing more like 95.
2-2. Down. And a full count.
Christian Moore going to the Jared Dickey no stride here with 2 strikes. Seeing a few of the Tennessee hitters doing that here today. Still using their lower half to load, but the front foot is not disengaging from the ground. Watch this lead foot here from Christian Moore. He's just going to rock back into that right side.
On a line to center. Eddie Park is there for out number 1. Yeah, you talk about the approach from Vols hitters today. This puts it into context. Quinn Matthews, we came in talking about his changeup. Ben, you were raving about it. In that last start, the complete game in the Super Regionals, Quinn Matthews got 21 whiffs, swings and misses on his changeup. Today, Tennessee just 1 whiff on that change.
Yeah, I just don't think the changeup had the typical action. And look, something probably got to do with 156 his last time out and 336 pitches the last 10 days. Probably had a little bit something to do with that. I thought the speed was good. He didn't slow his body down, but it just didn't have the shape and the action, the fade away that it typically does. But also credit Tennessee, because I'm telling you what, they had some really good at bats too. Was able to get down. A couple of them got down 0-2 and they're able to fight it back to 3-2, even some base hits.
Blake Burke, the batter, has been on twice. Lines this one to left, down the line, and it's a fair ball into the corner. Merritt to third, and he stops there on a ringing opposite field double for Blake Burke.
Ball jumps off his bat. I mean, he can really impact the baseball. This is a ball that off the bat you thought Rios maybe had a chance, a 4-seamer middle, and this ball is scorched over the head of Alberto Rios. A missile off the left field wall and hit so hard that Griffin Merritt couldn't score from first base. But another run-scoring opportunity with less than 2 outs. And that ball actually took a perfect bounce back to Rios, too, because you never know where that ball could carry him.
Rios played that perfectly and got in. Yeah, you're right, because if it bounces one time on the ground, probably another run scores, but instead it's right to him. That's going to be it looks like, for Matt Scott.
After Tennessee's 11th hit and its first extra base hit of the ball game. Matt Scott, the freshman, exits after 3 batters. The experienced Brant Pantzer will enter in Omaha in this elimination game with 2 aboard for Tennessee. This game tied at 4. The winner of this one plays Tuesday night against whoever loses between the Tigers and the Demon Deeks. Brant Pantzer comes on. He's thrown a lot of innings for the Stanford team this year.
Yeah, 5 saves on the year, making his 32nd appearance. 44 2/3. More hits and innings pitched, but 42 punch outs, 15 walks. Pretty good strikeout to walk ratio. Fastball is going to average right about 90, so he'll be 88 to 92. Breaking ball and a changeup as well.
He comes in with 2nd and 3rd, and Zane Denton, the batter. And misses with a breaking ball down.
Denton's actually a click better from the left side than the right side. Not huge difference with his splits, but this is his more dangerous side.
1-0. Denton lines it towards short at Timo Becerra, who gets the out, and Tennessee leads. Griffin Merritt scores from third, and it's 5-4 balls in the seventh.
That's all you need to do, right? I mean, you see the middle infielder. The middle infield's pushed back. You want to get a base hit. If it gets through, you get two. But if you get a routine ground ball up the middle, that would net a run, and Tennessee has the lead now, 5-4.
The Tennessee offense has been impressive today with their professional at-bats and the ability to manufacture offense with just one extra base hit. Like that's not really the narrative around this team offensively. They've done a nice job without having to hit the ball at the ballpark.
Now Christian Scott, and they've done it with these conditions too. Like that's part of all the singles. We've seen shifting wind throughout the first few days here, but today definitively it's been playing in really from the first few balls off the bat.
Warm day, southerly wind. This is what you get here at the Chuck. Like when it's really warm, it pretty much blows dead in, sometimes a touch across.
0-1 to Scott. Fades outside. It's amazing how baseball will make you such an expert on wind and precipitation. You just got to check it, especially with the stakes so high here at the Men's College World Series. Pantsers 1-1. Ball outside again. Brant Pantsers has been really good in the NCAA tournament and has not given up a run so far. Came in with 2 inherited runners here in the 7th. Two-one pitch. Line foul. 2-2 on Scott. Stanford's got the top of the lineup coming in the next half inning against Chase Burns, who's been entrusted with this game by Tony Vitello. Pantsers 2-2 to Scott. He's down and goes through the wickets. Burke to the plate, and he scores. 6-4 balls.
Right through the 5-hole, Mikey. I know you're a hockey guy. This is not something you see much here. The glove just
looked like the freshman came up.
Just flinched. Watch the glove here. The glove just flinches up.
See how his body's coming up.
The whole body, actually, right? Yep. And that's just the anticipation of that breaking ball coming up, bouncing up, and sometimes it scoots, right? And that one just absolutely flattened out as it got to home plate, and Malcolm Moore allows the ball. Now again, that's a spike breaking ball. It's not all on Malcolm Moore, but that's one he usually locks up.
On the wild pitch, past Moore. Strike 3 called out of Christian Scott. So you got Chase Burns on the bump. His ERA is 2 as a reliever. Well, now he's got a 2-run lead as we hit the stretch in Omaha, Nebraska.
Wow, Chase Burns into this game with Tennessee down 4-0, runner on first base, and nobody out, and he went to work, folks. Up to 101 miles an hour with his fastball. Ready to open his zone. He needed to. Got that breaking ball down. It's been heavy fastball slider with a few changeups mixed in, and he has locked up the Cardinal at this point with 5 punch-outs in just 3 innings of work.
He has been filthy. 3+ innings, no runs. We're at the Men's College World Series, and a backdoor breaking ball to start out the Stanford leadoff man, Eddie Park. A couple of lineouts, and Eddie Park was hit by a pitch in the 3rd. Chase Burns has thrown 8 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings, going back to the regionals against Clemson. The 1-1. This is hit hard to second, right at Christian Moore. One away in the home half of the 7th. Well, Tommy Troy, we shine the spotlight on him at the outset. And with Stanford now trailing by 2 and trailing for the first time in this game, can he be the one to start something for the Cardinal?
They need him to. You know, you figure with them trailing, if it stays like this, this would be maybe get one more at bat from him, right? But man, at this point in the ball game against an arm like this, you need your stars to show up. He's put together some quality ABs all game long, but Burns did get him on that 3-2 breaking ball his last at bat.
After Troy had ran it full and got that slider at 90 miles an hour. The 1-0.
Anything turn like that ought to have a blinker on it. I mean, that's as hard a right to left as you'll get. You hit that one, Berkey?
No. I'd try really hard to not swing at it, but you're not hitting.
Let me look at that.
Oh, we're getting readings of 2,900 RPMs on the breaking ball. Like it is elite spin, and it's not accidentally taking that nosedive left turn at the plate. That thing is
big league slider. What, 2,400? And he's got 2,800 on it.
Maui Ahuna collects and throws out Troy. Chase Burns keeps on rolling. He's only given up 2 singles, and one of them was a bunt single since he came on in the 4th. We asked Chase earlier this week, hey, what was it like when you got flipped from weekend rotation to bullpen? He said it was right before Arkansas. I talked to Coach V, as he put it, Tony Vitello, and they said, let's reset things. It's just not going as well as it should have been in a starting role. But coming in out of the bullpen, just run with it. And that's what he's done these last few weeks in particular. Starts with 97 for strike 1 to Carter Graham.
Yeah, you never know how a kid's going to respond to that, right? But he responded in the right way. Said, okay, if this is how I can best help the team, is this what you need me to do, and you think this is the best way to go? And he embraced it. He accepted that role. And boy, lately he's been as good as anybody in baseball.
And he's shown us 4 pitches. I mean, it's been mostly fastball slider, but we've seen the curve and the changeup.
It's a starter's mix, and a lot of times when guys go from starter to reliever, they kind of condense a little bit, but he's kept his good 4-pitch mix even as a reliever.
Strikes out Graham. He told us this week it's pretty cool to be a guy in the pen with a 4-pitch mix. It is nasty for Chase Burns.
Boy, Chase Burns. You want to see nasty? Folks, that is as nasty, and it's dirty, Berkey. Dirty as a Bourbon Street martini.
This game has had it all as well. We came in talking about the 2 aces on both sides. Maybe a couple of guys who are going to pitch in the big leagues. Chase Burns looking like he is that nasty right now as he has led Tennessee. And they have found offense with 6 runs in the last 3 innings. And now the Vols lead as we go to the 8th in this elimination game between Tennessee and Stanford. 9-1-2 for Tennessee, beginning with their catcher, Cal Stark. He's been on twice, single, and was hit by a pitch. And he catapults this one into shallow right. And Graham can't make the catch. It dropped down foul. Into the sunshine, and Graham tracking back on it.
That's where you need your uber athletic right fielder to just run downhill and want that baseball. That ball is slicing away from Bowser, slicing away from Graham, and Montgomery kind of put on the brakes. That is just a really tough catch. Look how much that ball's slicing. Right, he obviously loses his balance, but looked like Montgomery just kind of conceded that Graham was going to make that play. We've seen some stuff go wrong in that part of this ballpark in years past.
Stark, another one. This one more manageable for all parties involved, including Montgomery for the first down.
All right, so Maui Ahuna coming to the plate, guys. I actually talked to him before he came to Tennessee while he was still at KU before he transferred. And we talked a little bit about island baseball. He's from Hilo, Hawaii. And he says baseball there means everything to us. There are really opportunities only here on the mainland. So you got to come over to the United States to get seen, to have the opportunities to go to college. This was a childhood dream of mine to play college baseball. My dad, Walter, I know he's in the stands right now. He said, my dad was really tough on me growing up, but I wouldn't be here without him.
Preseason All-American who transferred, like Danny said, from Kansas. And Walter's in the building for this one. Maui Ahuna was one of the biggest prizes of the transfer portal. Landed at Tennessee. And now he's here with the Vols at the Men's College World Series.
You see Walter shaking his head after that swing and miss in the dirt. First pitch breaking ball. Some things don't change, right? He's still coaching from the stands. Maui had huge expectations, right? All-American shortstop coming over from Kansas, as you said, but the numbers maybe not quite as flashy as the Volunteer fan base had hoped, but he's been solid. The numbers have been solid, and he's played a nice shortstop.
I can say defensively, he looks like a big leaguer defensively. The way he catches it, receives it, strong arm.
Can move.
Yeah, very rangy. A lot of swing and miss, though. Like a lot of swing and miss.
Yep.
For a smaller guy. Now, look, there's some juice there. And I remember when the Vols rolled into Baton Rouge, hit a ball straightaway center field at the box, and where not many balls go, and off the baggy straightaway center field.
Right now, Kylie McDaniel had him number 62 on his MLB draft rankings from last month. Full count on him against Brant Panzer.
I think one of the biggest difference between the Big 12 day in and day out, the SEC day in and day out, is the velocity. Maui's probably biggest area of struggle this year has been against the higher end velos, 95 plus. The bat path is kind of low to high, and so he's been exposed on some of those fastballs up and around the belt.
Hits this one hard off the glove of a diving Timo Becerra. And that's the third hit of the ball game for Maui Ahuna, this time on 91 for a one-out single.
He's had a heck of a day today, Ben, and it started with the base hit off Skeens, right? The RBI base hit, he's the one that kept that, really chased Skeens. He wasn't too happy about that, and since then, that's now 4 hits here in the College World Series for Maui Ahuna. And Becerra, excuse me, just out of his reach. You know, Walter's fired up about that one.
Big Walter said that's 3 today.
Yeah, it was an 8-pitch battle that Maui Ahuna had against Paul Skeens in that 8th inning. Here's Hunter Ensley. Strike one. Tennessee looking to add on. It feels like every additional run is just a dagger for Stanford against Chase Burns. Nothing in 2.
Yes, the stuff has not given a whole lot of hope to the Stanford dugout or fan base to this point. But you're hoping as you get a little more comfortable and guys have seen them for the second time, maybe the stuff lightens a touch. We saw some 97s last half inning as opposed to the 9900s.
This one popped up behind the plate and out of play.
Yeah, it just feels like if the right guys get owned for Stanford, they could take an extra 90 on them. But it's got to be the right guys. The problem is, how do you get on? I mean, with the stuff he has right now, how do you get on?
And the ballpark's playing huge. So even though I still think the ball could get out from, you know, the edges of the bullpen to the line, you're going to have your hands full trying to run one out of here to the big part of the park.
Yeah, how do you turn on one at that velocity enough to get it down the line?
Right, might have to be an oppo.
0-2. We started talking about how these teams are built on home runs. That they get a lot of their offense on the long ball. It's a Stanford offense, 11th in the country in runs per game. The best offense in the Pac-12. Right there with their home run rankings nationally as well.
I mean, both these teams, top 10 in the country in home runs. And that's always a challenge sometimes when you come to Omaha, is the game is different here with this ballpark, the way it blows in occasionally.
Ensley flares it to right. Montgomery calls off Bowser. 2 gone.
I mean, those balls are backing up as they're coming towards the ground. That wind is stiff right now.
On a warm one in Omaha. Two gone. Maui Ahuna at first for Jared Dickey. had that 8-pitch battle in the 5th inning. Then the RBI single. Flew out to right. Pulls back. Morris throws a dart. Wow. Got him. Throws out Maui Ahuna to end the top of the 8th.
Malcolm Moore might have made a mistake an inning ago letting the ball get between his legs. But I'm telling you what, there is no denying the rocket arm that he has. And I thought Ahuna had a pretty good jump here. But Malcolm Moore out of there quickly. A dart down to second base and a quick tag. And the Cardinals off the field.
Changeup rolled into center field, a base hit, and Christian Moore delivers.
He tied it, and now Tennessee leads it as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Chase Burns on the bump, still for the Vols. He's turned in 9 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings, and it's 4, 5, and 6 for Stanford, starting with Braden Montgomery. The All-American right fielder singled his first 2 times. Fastball changeup to start out from Burns.
And I tell you, this is, you know, when he was starting, Ben, his arsenal wasn't this complete. Like you talk about accepting a new role. He's not only accepted it, but he's gotten better.
Refined it.
Yes.
He has found a new home.
And yet it's a luxury that it's not just true bullpen either. Like it's length out of the bullpen.
And I don't think this home will last long for him, because if he's going to keep showing you 4 pitches for strikes, like,
you got to be a starter.
That's right.
They started with elite stuff.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Montgomery went around on it, and Stark caps the K.
I mean, this is just not fair. I mean, it is 4 elite pitches is what I'm seeing right now. 2 different breaking balls, a changeup.
Well, now hold on a second. Third base umpire Ramon Armendariz is motioning toward the Stanford dugout and is now coming to chat with 2 of his other umpires.
Oh, we got an ejection? A warning.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, looks like a warning.
Braden Montgomery certainly didn't think that he went around on the check swing, but he got rung up without an appeal.
Well, did home plate umpire Brandon Cooper make this call? Maybe that.
I can see why they're upset about it. Yeah, and to do it without an appeal is unfortunate, because that's you see the dugout just not happy about it. Look, Dave Esker out onto the field there a little bit. I don't blame him. That first of all wasn't a swing, and to have it be done without an appeal that's a rough one to swallow.
That's a miss.
Yes.
So it leads to out number 1, and only 5 of them left to play with for Stanford. A 1 to Alberto Rios, tugged outside at 99, and Rios with 2 hits in this game, including a run-scoring double in the first, drove in a run with a sac fly in the 3rd. Cardinal down 2. 1-1. Fastball lofted foul.
Well, we were talking about maybe the stuff wouldn't start to lighten, but it doesn't appear that. 98, 99, the last 2 heaters.
What is he up to? 50, 60 pitches now? No, there's plenty left in this tank.
Tony Vitello said to Danny during his in-game interview, I'm going to let Chase Burns tell me when he's done. Another strikeout. That's 8 of them for Chase Burns. Sunday on the London Series edition for our MLB coverage on Sunday Night Baseball. We got 2 games live from London Stadium. First, it's Cubs Cardinals, and then Sunday Night Baseball presented by Casamigos Tequila at 7 p.m. Eastern. Astros and Dodgers also on ESPN Deportes. The reminder, game 2 of the College World Series final that day as well on Sunday at 3 o'clock Eastern time. Malcolm Moore lines 1 to right, and it's right at Christian Scott, who hangs on to it.
Never a doubt. Christian Scott, all's well that ends well. A couple little chuckle on the way off the field. Boy, Chase Burns is some kind of hot right now. And stay on your feet there, Mr. Scott.
Charge that thing, kid.
5 shutout innings in an elimination game for Chase Burns, the hard-throwing 4-pitch mix reliever, Ben McDonald.
Yeah, came in the 4th inning, and it has been lights out. That cutter, if you want to call it a slider, it could be a slider, but check out 2980. That's 25% more than the big league average when it comes to spin rate, and 10 inches more of vertical drop as well. I mean, Paul Skeens has got a good slider, but this one's right there with it, or maybe better.
Firmer.
He's been that good, and his offense woke up in the 5th inning with a 4 spot, then grabbed the lead with 2 in the 7th. Jared Dickey was at the plate when Maui Ahuna was caught stealing in the 8th, and he leads off this 9th inning here in Omaha. 3, 4, and 5 against Stanford reliever Brant Pantzer. Stung to right by Dickey. 3rd hit of the ball game for Jared Dickey, who thought about second on a Montgomery bobble. It's a leadoff single.
Have a day, kid. You know, Jared Dickey, as special as he is, came into this just 6 for 31 in the postseason. Now, does this look like a guy who's been struggling? You're just not going to keep a hitter this special down too long, and it has been a laser show today for Mr. Dickey. And you got a little Michael Jordan tongue wag there. Now he likes to chew on his thumb guard, which I find a little disturbing. But, you know, hey, if you want to hit rockets, chew on your thumb guard, whatever.
Here's Griffin Merritt. Now, Griffin Merritt's going to dental school. I don't think he would approve of that.
I agree with that. Yeah, we might need Uncle Griff to coach him up there.
There were some honest conversations between Griffin Merritt and his head coach, Tony Vitello. Part of the turnaround for this Tennessee team this season. Breaking ball for a land strike. Nick Dugan was one of the heroes of the regional for Stanford, fending off elimination. He's working. Panthers' 28th pitch. Ball misses. David Esker's team facing elimination here in Omaha. Quinn Matthews, their senior star, was the starter. On the ground at Becerra, the turn from Bowser is an easy 2. 6-4-3 for Brant Pantzer here in the 9th.
But Timo Becerra has been a really nice find here at the tail end of the season for Stanford. This one, Taylor made 6-4-3. I like how Jared Dickey just decided to get the heck out of the way. A hard hit ball right at Timo. Just make sure you get it accurately. Jared Dickey bailed out of that one early. That's what you call a business decision. And Pantzer, big double play after a leadoff knock.
It'll be 7-8-9 in the bottom of the 9th for Stanford. Right now it's Christian Moore in the top of the 9th for the Vols. Moore had the 2-run single back in the 5th. Cuts through a couple breaking balls. Pantzer ready and waiting for an 0-2. Ball. Spun another. Camera's been all over Chase Burns, and rightly so with what he's done now a few times here in the postseason. Pantzer strikes out Moore, and we go to the bottom of the 9th. Chase Burns, can anyone touch him? Stanford needs to continue its season. Chase Burns on the big stage has dealt 5 shutout innings. He's given up just 2 hits, a couple of singles. Those were in the 6th. One of them was a bunt single. With the stakes so high here in Omaha, Nebraska, he has punched out 8, and he is back out there trying to get a win for Tennessee. 7, 8, and 9 for Stanford. Begins with Drew Bowser. Bowser struck out looking against Burns on 100. His last time. Breaking ball, and it's 1-1.
Help us out in the air. Help us out in the air.
There's only been 3 balls in the outfield, to Tony Vitello's point, against Chase Burns. The 1-1. That's called a strike, 1-2.
Drew Bowser, I don't blame him for asking about that one. I'm not saying it was a ball, but like that's one you got to ask about, because you don't want that one called a strike again. That was rough. Tough pitch to handle down there.
Burns deals.
Ball.
Bowser lays off, and this time there is certainly an appeal down to first at Jeff Head. Stanford's been here 3 years in a row, but at this field, just 1 in 5. The offense has been held quiet in those 5 losses here at Charles Schwab Field. No swing again from Bowser. And now Bowser's telling Tony Vitello to get back in the Tennessee dugout. Tony Vitello came out of the dugout to bark at Jeff Head. Grabbed some dirt on his way back. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Burns to Bowser. Strike 3 called. 1 away.
Boy, and a huge first out of the bottom of the 9th inning.
Backup breaking ball there, Ben.
Yeah, that's one of the few that he's thrown that have not had the really good action. But 3-2 looking fastball, and just kind of backs it up in there on the inside part. Last place you're expecting it as a hitter.
Owen Cobb, the batter. First pitch swinging, popped up toward first. And Blake Burke. Tennessee's 1 out away from staying alive. The Vols have not won a game at the Men's College World Series since 2001. Everyone thought last year they'd be here. Got here as the team after the team, as we so often see. And after facing the best pitcher in America on Saturday night in their first game, they're trying to start doing it the hard way with a win here today. 1 out from it, and Timo Becerra's the last hope for Stanford against Chase Burns. Ball 1 to start out. Chase Burns has matched Todd Helton for the most strikeouts by a Tennessee pitcher in a College World Series game. This is in the air toward left center at Hunter Ensley. Chase Burns was brilliant. Tennessee stays alive. Chase Burns is the first reliever to throw 6 scoreless innings in a Men's College World Series game since 1997. Stanford's Jeff Austin. He was incredible.
Yeah, brilliant, incredible, dominant, filthy. What else you got, Ben?
Dirty. All those things. Yeah, I mean, and look, Tony Vitello didn't pull any punches in the meeting this morning. He said, it's going to be Dolander, and then I'm coming with Burns. I'm coming with my best. And that's exactly what we saw today. And it worked out perfectly. I mean, not the start for Tennessee, obviously, but Tennessee impressed me. For a team that bangs it out of the ballpark, and most of their runs come via the home run, they had 1 extra base hit today. 13 hits, 12 singles, and 1 double. And so they found a way in some big moments. I felt like they made some really good adjustments during the game when they pushed Quinn Matthews out of the ball game. But they showed you they could win a little bit differently than what they have for most of the season, you know. And again, they got themselves in a similar situation in Super Regional, got down 4-0, but they've been there before, and they knew they were bringing in their guy that was going to stack some zeros, and he began to do that, and that offense got involved in a little bit different way, but some good at-bats for Tennessee today.
Back-to-back weeks facing elimination. They were down 4-0 to Tanner Hall of Southern Miss, and 4-0 to Quinn Matthews, and they are alive to tell about it. And that's a ton of credit to the bullpen, who's Chase Dolander last week, but today Chase Burns. And the offense has won in different ways. And as you just documented so well, Ben, that's a big development for this team, because that was the question for this team coming in, was everybody knew they could pitch. Could they play offensive baseball in a day where the ball's not getting out of the ballpark? And they proved that today.
Yeah, and look, for me, they started off 0 for 4. They squandered a couple nice opportunities to Tennessee early in this ball game. Started off 0 for 4 runners in scoring position, but end up 4 for 10. And so they made some big strides in the middle part of this ball game. And Tennessee, I mean, we talked about it. To me, there was a couple teams that could get in the losers bracket and come all the way back through it. Wake Forest was one of it with the deepest pitching staff, one of them, and the best ERA in the country. Tennessee was the other one. We felt like in this field that if they got in the losers bracket, had plenty of ammo in the bullpen to make a comeback. And I think Tennessee is still very much in this College World Series.
And on the flip side, heartbreak for Stanford. Getting here for a 3rd straight year, and you think about Quinn Matthews, who made a decision to turn down professional baseball and turn down the most pitching acclaimed Major League Baseball organization, perhaps, or right up there in the Tampa Bay Rays, and instead returned for a senior year because he said he wanted to lead that staff like guys before him had done. And Stanford had a ball drop out of the sky and magically get them here with so much excitement last weekend in Palo Alto. And they run into some premium 1st-round arms here into this one today. And one of those guys is Chase Burns. He's down on the field with Danny Wexelman.
Mike, thank you so much. Chase, we have seen so much emotion from you in this postseason, but you walked off that mound calmly. What is the difference in this game?
Yeah, I think excitement comes in all different shapes and sizes and forms. Inside I'm really excited, but, I had to keep that energy balled up a little bit. Job's not done yet, so I'm excited.
What's been your favorite part about getting to come out of the pen instead of starting games later this season?
I guess I would say the energy, just getting your mind ready when you step out of those gates. Today, I knew I had to go a little bit longer. So, I had to ball up that energy and use it towards, doing my job.
Your team's first win here at the College World Series since 2001. And for you guys, you had to come back. How deep is this team? How big of a run can you make?
Yeah, this team could be really special. We could turn it on. We always have to leave it on for us to make it far in this tournament.
You told me in high school that if you were facing yourself in the box, you would be scared. What would you say to yourself now in the box facing yourself?
I'd probably still be scared. I don't like the balls coming at me, so yeah, I'd probably strike out, honestly.
Hey, Berkey in our booth wants to know about your curveball and your changeup. We saw you talking to Seth Halverson in the dugout about his changeup.
Yeah, this staff is so deep with different pitches. Every guy in this dugout has like different specialty, and I know one of his is his changeup. Against that good lineup, I know how to use all 4 of my pitches today. So, just ask him a little, tip or trick just to get my changeup a little bit better, and he really did help me. So, that's all I was doing.
And how about that curveball? How have you developed that, and what was it doing for you today?
Yeah, it was setting up different pitches. When you see the slider that comes in, 88, 89, real hard. But when I can bring in the curveball, it's a little bit slower and goes more down. It can open up a lot of different pitches for me.
What's the rest of the day look like for you guys?
Celebrating a little bit and then moving on. Probably going to go get something to eat and sleep the rest of the day.
Chase, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
Yeah, well, he earned it. And Tennessee gets its first win here at the Men's College World Series in 22 years. Mr. Chris Burke, they get the job done. And now Chase Burns can go celebrate with his teammates. This guy was incredible. Our Capital One rewarding performance. He's the first reliever here to go 9 strikeouts, no walks as a reliever at the College World Series since 1969. He was sick.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. This is some dominant stuff. We saw the fastball up to 101. He was down when he needed to be. He rode the ball up in the zone he needed to be, and that slider was one of the best sliders that we have seen really in a long time. It had some late action, and then he started working a little bit of a curveball. He threw some really nice changeups. So you're talking about elite 4-pitch mix. Not just a 4-pitch mix, but I thought all 4 of his pitches were plus pitches. And, he's the MVP of this because he came in here and stacked some zeros and gave this Tennessee offense a chance to climb back in, and that's exactly what they did.